There's a boy behind the glass tonight, counting cracks beneath the neon light. They called it justice on the evening news, another headline people choose. And I stood outside those courtroom doors with trembling hands in case fire wars. But truth don't shine like gasoline, it burns too slow for TV screens. So they trade a soul for certainty, wrap their fear in sympathy, and every doubt gets crucified before it's even heard alive. Why does no one care when the innocent disappear into cages built from rumors and the comfort of our fear? Why does no one care when the truth is standing there, crying through the silence, but nobody wants to hear? And the devil's advocates still scream into the air. Why does no one care? There's a mother clutching faded notes, every word her son once wrote. She swears his eyes were never cold, but mercy's hard when anger's sold. The papers print the easy side, the crowd decides before the trial, and anyone who questions it gets buried underneath the pile. 'Cause doubt is dangerous these days, and nuance never trends. So they sharpen all their outrage till compassion finally ends. Why does no one care when the innocent disappear into stories built for ratings and convictions built on fear? Why does no one care when the cracks are everywhere, and the ones who ask for answers are the villains of the year? But the devil's advocates still stand when no one dares. Why does no one care? I'm so tired of screaming into storms, watching hearts grow comfortably numb. How many lives must break apart before we question what we've done? And if the truth is inconvenient, does that make it any less real? Or are we just addicted to the safety of the seal? Why does no one care when a human life's unfairly torn, when the system feeds on silence and calls indifference being strong? Why does no one care? Why is it easier not to see that justice without questions isn't justice? It's machinery. Still the devil's advocates refuse to look away, even when the whole world says just let it fade. But I still care, God, I still care.
All right, welcome to kind of like a somber start to the Crimes After Dark show. And it's, I think, Wednesday night. We've got a panel. We got Robin. We got Dago backstage, True Crime Cafe. I don't think we're going to get one tonight. I think he also had a very busy schedule. And so we will kind of get at her right away. I did want to accentuate right off the bat, if you haven't heard the story of Missy Woods, it is an important thing. Missy Woods in Colorado, basically arrested for falsifying DNA records. She was a DNA expert, falsified DNA records, sent people to prison. She would cover up tampering by law enforcement, apparently. And they have overturned at least one person's conviction for murder because she faked evidence in that case. It happens all the time. She's going to go to jail for, I think, 15 years, possibly more. We'll talk a little bit about that. And if it relates to other cases, how many times do DNA experts give the prosecution the answer that they need, falsify information, cover up tampering? It's crazy. All right, so let's get our panel together. Robin and Dago, how are you guys doing tonight?
Doing well, thank you.
Can't
Glad to be here
complain.
with everybody.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of a somber night. I don't know if you saw the story of the Missy Woods thing from Colorado, but that I saw that hit my news feed this morning, and I was, holy shit, isn't that so funny when you have an expert who gets up in front of juries and tells juries the 15 quintillion possibility that it couldn't be anybody but this guy, but then fakes those numbers and fakes that evidence to get a conviction because that's what they wanted her to get. And it looks great. It looks great to a jury, and that's my point. That's my point. People, the jurors don't know the science. They just trust the science, bro. So when somebody comes up and says, look, it's just science, man, this person's guilty. Are we really going to convict people by that shit? I don't know.
Surprise, surprise, surprise.
Yeah, and apparently we are.
Yeah. And
It makes you really stop and think how many people are sitting in jail right now, potentially Brian Koberger as well, based on, uh, stuff that DNA testing may have gotten wrong.
And that they knew that it was wrong. That's the sad
Right.
part.
Right. And that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm not saying this is a direct correlation, but you have to ask yourself if it happens one place, and it's not just one place. Like, I think it was federal labs had gotten caught in a huge scandal back in the 80s of falsifying DNA evidence to get convictions. This is the story I was talking about, by the way, if you haven't seen it. U.S. News, AP News, former Colorado analyst pleads guilty in DNA testing scandal. That's Yvonne Missy Woods, a former forensics analyst at the Colorado Bureau of Investigation, pleaded guilty Tuesday to 4 felony counts of stemming from accusations that she manipulated and omitted data to speed up DNA testing processes, calling into question the validity of hundreds of criminal cases. The most important part that I thought was this part where she says authorities accuse Woods, who resigned in 2023 after a decades-long career, of altering data to conceal tampering. When I read that, I read law enforcement tampered with stuff, and she concealed their efforts to tamper with that and then gave the answer that they wanted, deleting data that showed that she failed to troubleshoot issues when the testing process was not thoroughly documented. And again, this led to a person basically being overturned. Here we go. At least one murder conviction has been overturned as a result of Woods' misconduct. Michael Clark was released from prison in 2025 after his lawyer argued that DNA evidence in the case was mishandled by Woods, but prosecutors are seeking to retry him. So again, that's not saying Michael Clark did or didn't do it, but there's evidence that she altered DNA to make it say it was him. So when you do that, you have to ask yourself, did they really get the right guy? And of course, they'll retry him because they always believe they got the right guy. And they're like, yep, just a technicality. He was the right guy. We told them who we wanted. They gave us who we wanted. But if you want to make us find another way to convict him, we'll find another way to convict him. And that's the way that goes. I'm such a fucking cynic. I kind of have a cynical attitude towards that stuff. But
No, it's warranted. I mean, that's not the first, and it won't be the only. Look at there was something. What the hell was that? A couple years ago, there that is potentially going to force them to go through and uh, try to find, well, like you're saying, try to find a different way to convict people than the DNA. So I mean, it's just disgusting. So
It happens way too much, and the problem, and like I said, the problem is people trust the science, but the average person doesn't understand the science. So
They trust the
Yeah.
people behind the science. That's the problem right there. It's
That's
the people.
Right.
that's it. And look, I mean, a lot of these people who are DNA experts, they talk a good game. They're really good at saying, "Oh, there's no other possibility. The odds on this or blah blah blah," and they talk a good game. And people love confidence. That's one thing I learned a long time ago. If you say something with enough confidence, people will believe you because you're confident. How can that guy be wrong? He's
Mhm.
fucking really, really confident, or she's really, really confident. So they
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
I mean, at this point now, it's gonna have to be like they're gonna start needing to show the proof of the crimes that are being committed from at this point if they keep going this way. You know what I mean? It's just
Yeah.
sad.
yeah,
It's really
Yeah.
sad. They're gonna have to come out and show evidence before they even go to trial in these cases, because like it's like what else is there? What other basis do you have to be able to say that this person is the one that's guilty? You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
just I know that sounds dumb, but
No.
there is nothing else out there, in my opinion. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Another sentence that came out of that same article. In at least 2 cases, both homicide cases, the defendants received lesser sentences via plea deals than they would have faced if they went to trial, because prosecutors were afraid that Woods' involvement would lead to acquittals. Now, fucking think about that in another case we're following. Because they were afraid that the way the DNA was handled, and if it went to trial, they were afraid it was getting an acquittal. So they offered the defendant a plea deal, and they took a plea deal because they didn't want to go to trial and find out that they might not have a good case with the DNA when under scrutiny. And I honestly think that's exactly what happened
Wow.
in the Koberger case. Their case fell apart. The DNA was going to be bullshit. They didn't want to have to fight it, and so they offered a plea deal because they knew that the DNA was going to fall apart. And that was what convicted Brian Koberger in the heart of many Americans, is the DNA. You can't argue it. His DNA is at the crime scene. But no, it wasn't. That's the point.
And it's been proven now, you guys, like proven as a fact now that the prosecution approached the defense with the plea deal. The defense
Yeah.
never asked. The defense
Yeah.
never asked for it, folks. Which I think we knew in the beginning, because it doesn't work that way. Okay, so the prosecution basically, as I'll use Steve Gonsalves' words, got on his hands and knees and crawled over to Ann Taylor and said, "Please take this plea deal. I don't have a case against your client. I don't know what to do. Help me here. Help me." Is basically what he did, and it's pathetic. It's pathetic.
Yeah, and the inside email that we talked about the other day, whether it's true or not, we don't know. But the idea that maybe inside information from Cy Ray's upcoming book suggested that they, meaning Cy Ray and the defense team, because he was working for the defense, remember at that time, forced them, the prosecution, into offering a plea deal. And it's so funny because so many people got just indignant with me and probably with you, Dago, and whatever, saying, "You're a fucking idiot. It was the defense that asked for a plea deal." And I kept arguing, it doesn't even matter, because you can't have a plea deal without both sides agreeing. So in a way, it's almost immaterial. But the idea that they kept pushing, it was the defense that asked for it. No, apparently it was the prosecution that asked for a plea deal because they were afraid they were going to lose the trial, because they didn't have a case.
At the
and they
end
were
of
afraid it was going to fall apart.
I think it was the end of May, beginning of June. The date I'll have wrong, I know, but Hitler said, "Okay, guys, it's it. Both sides. It's at that point now. I'm going to need your best last offer. I'm going to need your best last offer." Was looking at the prosecution when he said what he said. Okay, that's the plea deal, folks. That is the plea deal. Okay, nothing else is an offer. Came out of the judge's mouth himself, and pointed towards the prosecution, and they did what they did. Bill got down on his knees and drug his beard across the floor and went over and begged Dan to take the fucking plea deal, and here we are. End of story.
Sure.
So
yeah,
pathetic.
Sure it feels. Yeah, it's just it's a crazy thing, and unfortunately, I keep looking for the smoking gun. I keep looking for something that's gonna. And this is the thing that bothers me in particular about the Idaho 4 cases. Every single day, there's some new shocking thing to look at, and I ask myself the fundamental question. So what just changed the case? Well, nothing. I mean, but so it wasn't shocking. Like every day there's something new shocking to talk about. But then I ask, okay, what's the key takeaway? What changed?
Nothing.
Well, nothing really changed. Okay. So I don't,
Sometimes it'll justify some of our feelings on things, but that's about it. Truly, nothing's changed yet. Brian's still sitting in prison.
Yep.
Most of us still believe that he didn't have anything to do with this. The true perpetrators are still out there, and the prosecution is still crooked as all hell can be. So,
Yep. Yep.
By the way, welcome to. I see a lot of people checking in from different places. UK is watching in the morning. For us, it's in the evening. For them, it's in the morning.
yeah,
It's kind of a cool thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So thank you, by the way, for that crew. I keep thinking, by the way, I don't know how I want to do this, because what I don't want to do is, I don't even want to talk about it too much, but I've been thinking about adding a morning stream sometime, because to hit audiences like in the UK who when we're going at night, it's your daytime and you may be at work or whatever. So I've been thinking about doing a daytime, thinking that maybe that'll be night for the UK, because we do a lot of people from the UK and from Australia and other places. So I've been thinking about doing that. I don't know how exactly to do that yet. It feels like I'm always live all the time, every day, but I might add another time slot somewhere to play around with the idea of reaching the people who can't make this all the time. So
that's why I've always done. I used to do 3 shows a day on my own channel, and I broke that down to 2, and I did a morning show, and then I did an afternoon show, and then 1 day a week I do an evening show. So I've been going back to doing the evening stuff a little bit too, to try to catch that audience that I had been missing for a while as well. So
happy birthday, baby. You know, if I felt if I was having Friday night fuckery and I had a few drinks, I might actually sing happy birthday to you, but I won't. Robin might.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, baby B.
Woo!
Happy birthday, you sweet little thing.
Wow,
Happy
that's funny.
birthday to you.
See, that's
And
beautiful. Mark and Betty from UK, I think, right? Just watched the Scotland World Cup game, so I'm late. No problem. Thanks for coming. Better late than never. That's what some people say. That's what I say as well. And we have lots of replay. A lot of people watch this show on replay, and so it's very cool. Thank you very much.
And we love our replay crew. You guys totally rock. So we do not forget about our replay crew. So
one is busy tonight, I'm guessing, again.
Yeah. He's filling in for some people that are on vacation. So he's protecting and serving.
Absolutely.
Yeah, the 4chan stuff, Cynthia Rose, if you're talking about way back in the early days, the 4chan posts where somebody was posting saying that they seem to have inside information about the murders, and they kept trying to lead people to, things. It's been a long time since we dug into that. I
covered it too.
Yeah, it's been bantered around for a long time. I'm not prepared to show it tonight, but we certainly could dig out the old archives if you wanted to look at it again, because it does dawn on me. Some people's never even seen that stuff before, because sometimes you forget that, it's like, that's an old story, but it's not an old story for people who haven't seen it before. Does it hold weight? I don't know. What do you think? I mean, some of it felt. I always felt that Papa Rogers could have been law enforcement themselves. I always thought that was kind of it felt like law enforcement, but I don't know if they discredit that.
I think Papa Rogers was FBI. Truly, that's my opinion. But they said it was some Asian woman from Iowa or some shit like that. Okay, whatever. Right. Yeah, I've been running a series where I'm going back to the beginning of the case again. So I'll be actually jumping on that 4chan stuff coming up soon again, and all the other stuff that surrounded it, trying to catch up and see if anything that we got recently matches up to any of that stuff from back then. So you never know.
So many things. It just bugs me, and I don't want to beat the dead horse, but so many things bug me that there's so many things that they're not releasing, so many things are redacted. They're complete. And again, I don't want to beat a dead horse, but they're completely ignoring one of the biggest requests I've ever made, which to me means they don't want to give that to me. And so much so that they're going to make me lawyer up to try to get it from them. And it frustrates me, because the fact that they just flat out have ignored multiple attempts to ask for something and won't even acknowledge it means I think that's a smoking sign that they don't want to give that up, fucking over their dead body.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh, I agree.
I agree with that as many other things too.
Right, and that's what bothers me. There is good stuff coming out on these interviews. The interviews are coming from Sigma Chi. I'm not saying that they're worthless. I'm not. But they're giving you only the things that they think are low yield. They're not going to give you the explosive shit. We all keep hoping they're going to give us an explosive thing. And what they give us is something like this. So I was beep and beep and beep, everything. It's not really beeps, but it's redacted to fuck. Like you can't even understand this stuff. And then we spend all of our time like, what did they possibly say right there? What was, when we theorize what they had, like it's so redacted, and people are paying good money for this shit that it's starting to get like, it makes me angry. Like every time I hear something new come out that somebody paid good money for and it's redacted to piss and you have to try to guess what was said, it just, I don't know. I just, it's fatiguing. It's fatiguing. By the way, this is a great night, by the way, if you want to come up on stage and say hi to us or ask a question, it'd be a great night for that. We won't go super long tonight, so take a crack at it. By the way, part of the reason why we won't go super long tonight or anything like that is because I got to get up at like 3 a.m. to take my cat to get neutered. It's a long story. I live in a very rural place, and so I have to drive the cat hours to fucking get to the place where they're going to take him somewhere else, and it's like a whole deal. So all day tomorrow is going to be it's going to be an early bedtime and super early rise tomorrow, which by the way does make Crimes After Dark a little tricky tomorrow. I don't know what time I'm getting back, but we'll figure it out. But what else? Any comments, questions? You guys what did you cover today, Dago? I'm assuming you were live today. What'd you cover? Oops, you're muted. You're muted. You're muted.
Of course I am. No, I haven't been live in 2 days. I was live last night. I did a cabinet conspiracy thing last night on hauntings in the Sally house. And then I've been dealing with some stuff here at home that has been taking up all my time. So I've been busy hopefully I'll be back here tomorrow at a normal time, during the day. So I haven't, and I've missed out on a couple things too. So I'm sorry for those of you that were looking for me. I see a lot of people in the chat saying they missed me and all that stuff. I missed you guys a lot too, for sure. But I will be back tomorrow. I promise you that, on my normal time.
I was laughing at somebody saying, I think they're saying that their cat was pooping in the litter box and they're about to toss him out. Yeah, that's I saw that and I laughed. I saw, was it Outcast, I think, has a new audio from the Sigma Chi president or something like that. And I was when channels like Connor or whatever put the videos out and they're uncommentary, they're just raw. I'm thinking about doing like, I usually don't like to do those live, my first live reaction, but I'm thinking about doing something like that for daytime stuff because everybody else is doing it. Oh, yeah. I have always shied away from doing live reactions because I'll tell you, it's bit me in the ass twice. I heard something during the Brent Kopaka files that I had public records requested and gone over. I was doing it live. And I ranted about something I heard for like a really good rant. And then 2 seconds after I unpaused the video from my rant, they answered the question that I just ranted about. And I looked like an idiot. I'm like, that's why I don't do shit live. Because I just ranted for fucking 15 minutes about how that was bullshit. And it was answered 2 seconds after I unpaused. Embarrassing.
I'm doing a show Thursday. I usually do cover the interviews. Travis from Travesty Logic is joining me Thursday night. To go over Pete E.
Yeah.
I just say E.
Yeah.
And do the live statement analysis with his interview because he does statement analysis. And we're going to break down and discuss why he thinks what he thinks on that. So I've been going to him a lot, and watching a lot of his analysis on stuff, and he's called it out for what it is, every damn one of them. So nobody seems to be telling the truth here, guys. Big problem.
Yep.
Big problem.
Sure.
Well, okay. So you didn't go live. We don't have a breaking news. So yeah, no, that's okay. It is what it is. Like, this was my concern. I was telling Robin, like, when there's nothing new to report on, question and answers is great, but you guys got to come up and come
on up here and ask us anything.
Guys come up. Yeah, but come on up. This would be a great time to come up. A really good time.
Yes.
Because then we get somebody's new opinion and it's not just the three of us bantering around things that we've all talked about before.
Ask us anything. That's how I like doing that.
It's an AMA. Let's do an AMA. Ask me anything.
Yep. Absolutely. Yeah, it's been weird because I haven't been up here or out here during the day 2 days in a row. I've just been, like I said, I've been dealing with some legal stuff and stuff like that. So it's been keeping me busy.
Wow, from my other channel, the Beyond channel, somebody gifted me something from my wish list. Thank you so much. That's so cool. That's amazing. You're my first. That's amazing. I can't wait to get it. I can't wait to see
That's
what it is.
great.
I'm very excited
Cool.
about that. Yeah, the Beyond channel. We're so close to hitting some goals over there. We're going to hit some goals in the next probably a week at best, maybe sooner. So we're very excited on the Beyond channel. I'm not sure, by the way. We had dropped Monday's Crimes After Dark and kind of moved to go to the Beyond channel. But I had a lot of people asking where the hell we were on Monday night, and so I might put this back on the calendar for Monday night. It really depends. What I don't want to do is I don't want to force conversation when we don't have a conversation. So I go iffy on what we're doing. We're trying to figure out. Again, I don't want to just be a talking head to be a talking head. I want to have something to talk about. And so that's the other thing. So on the one hand, I love consistency, and maybe going back to being consistent is good, but I also don't want to just talk out my ass. Canny Mag loves the new channel. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Yeah, I'm excited, doing a lot of weird shit on the new channel. I'm just kind of mixing it up. I got lots of stuff to talk about too, by the way. Lots of new stuff to talk about. Ooh,
There's
somebody's
always.
watching Cabin in the Woods. I was mentioning that we might do the review of Cabin in the Woods next week. So, or this coming Monday. So
We're gonna start doing. I decided last night, part of the cafe conspiracy thing. We're gonna start doing a movie. Somebody recommended doing a movie night in our Discord. So I think I guess there's a new. What was it called? What the hell is that movie? We just talked about it the other night. The one with the first one was fake. It turned out to be fake, but everybody thought it was real. What the hell is it? She goes off in the woods. They get
Blair Witch Project.
yeah, there you go. There's a new Blair Witch movie coming out, I guess. So whenever we can, I'm going to be able to pull it, and we'll go in our Discord together and watch it in there.
That's what we were
obviously.
talking about too. Is like using, because someone said you can use Discord to play movies, because you
I
certainly
used
can't
to do it. Yeah,
Yeah.
back in
Yeah.
the like Jesus, almost 4 years ago, we had done that once or twice. I didn't even know Discord then, so it was a big cluster mess. But now that I know it, a couple of people mentioned it, so I think we're gonna start doing that in our Discord one day a week at least.
Yeah, and I might even do that with Cabin in the Woods, and play it on the thing. I don't know what the rules are for restreaming and watching those things, and I don't even know how to do it. Like, because
You can't do it out here.
Yeah, you
not at
certainly can't do
all.
it on YouTube. Yeah, you
But
certainly can't do it.
Discord, it's you just pull it up, play it through the Discord. They don't say a word. So
The screen sharing of
yeah, it doesn't. You're allowed to do it in there. That's why we did it in there before.
Turn Yourself 85 says, what are your thoughts about the 2 firefighters that were killed, especially since the talk of halogen being used? That's been a long time since we talked about the firefighter issue.
I thought there was only one.
Yeah,
There was one.
I think he shot somebody and then he killed himself. Wasn't that the story of the shooter, that he had shot somebody, but I don't think he killed him, and then I think he killed himself.
Fired on some paramedics, I believe it was.
Yeah. And the Halligan thing, the Halligan tool, has been talked about, and it does make sense. But anybody can get a Halligan tool. You don't have to be a firefighter to have one.
Right.
Yeah, and I don't know that I had any great opinion when it first came out. There was a rumor that the firefighter that was shot was one of the first responders in the Idaho 4 thing. So it added to a whole bunch of the mystery. But when I dug into it, it didn't look like that was the case. I could not confirm that he was ever a first responder, or that there was another rumor that he had requested the 911 tapes, and that requesting it is what got him shot. But that also turned out to not be something I could verify. So it turned out that story felt like it was that's the thing. It felt like it was one of those things to be something to talk about for the day, and everybody went nuts with it. And I don't want to just talk about shit if it's just trying to find something to talk about for the day.
I think it was just another distraction to have us look somewhere else for a while. Truly and honestly, is my opinion.
One was named Tesdale in the fire shooting. No, I don't.
Well,
I don't remember.
I know that Tisdale. Or not Tisdale, Jesus. Nunez used to be a firefighter it was actually EMT too. But the other firefighter, I didn't know his name was Tisdale. That's
Yeah, I don't
new to
know.
that's news to me.
I don't remember that. Yeah, I don't remember that. I feel like I would have remembered that. I feel like I would have remembered that.
I agree with that too.
And maybe they were talking about something else. I mean, to fair, that comment could have been taken out of context.
Right.
Super excited, by the way, to hear that I'm getting a gift on my thing for that deck. I had a whole list of things that I wanted to have, so I'm excited to I got plans. I got plans for that, and we're about. Anyways, I got plans for that, so I'm super excited about that. I'm stoked. That's very cool. Margaret 8851 says, do you think Brian would hire a new lawyer to handle his appeal? Ron from Custody Queen said maybe he was doing that. I don't know that he can just replace Ann Taylor by his choice. There's like a formality of like she, I think, has to work with him to do that. And if she were doing the right thing, then she should certainly say, fine, I'll help you. Say that you got ineffective assistance of counsel with me. But I feel like it has to come through her, and it doesn't seem like she has any intention whatsoever of changing the plea deal or opening up an appeal. So I would like to think it's an option for him, but I think his best option is to file post-conviction relief and say that there's lots of grounds to say that exculpatory evidence was withheld from him or he didn't know about it, and have that discussion. We'll see what happens. He's got only a few more months, 3 months
That would be
at best.
interesting.
Yeah.
With this new law though that dropped, I think that'll change that, won't it?
With the SCOTUS, the Supreme Court one.
Yeah, my understanding is that it changes that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I might be wrong.
Give me a second. We'll get back to that in a second. Lee, what about the new interview? Have you seen Mason's? Also, Senior said that he needs something like $75 to pay fully for Rosenthal's body cam. The only new video interview I heard was the Sigma Chi president, and from what I understand, Outcast had it, and he talked over it and said he was going to release the unaltered, like he wasn't talking over it for everybody else to look at in a few days. So we're waiting for the raw one to come out, and then we'll watch it, because I tend not to want to hear somebody else's opinion. I like to form my own opinions first. That's just me. And so I didn't want to necessarily like cover somebody else covering it, because we could have done that. We could have played him covering the video and then commented on it. But I'm like, I'll just wait. If he's going to share the raw, I'll wait for the raw, and then I can make my own cover. Logan covered it. Okay, interesting.
Yeah, she just got the Mason Barstow interview, I think.
Oh,
yesterday.
I don't think Mason Barstow was the one that I was talking about. The one Outcast has was somebody else, I think. Wasn't it? Or maybe it was Mason Barstow.
No, he's not the president of the. You said
Sigma Chi.
Sigma Chi? No, it's somebody else.
Yeah, I gotta do better at following channels that are putting out raw feeds, because if everybody is going and doing raw feed analysis and I'm not catching up, the only channel I really follow that does raw feeds is Connor's thing. So if there's other places that are posting raw feeds, I probably need to get them all figured out so I can do them, because otherwise I'm always behind and everybody's telling me what happened. But again, usually it turns out that there was nothing there after hours of watching something else. You're like, well, there really wasn't anything new.
Pete's interview gave some interesting points of view and some interesting. It changed some facts around, in my opinion. It gave some information with Xana and Ethan. So I do cover all of the interviews just because of that, because you never know, you might get one word in there that will completely, flip something. So been doing that since I can remember. Read off. Yeah. Okay. Let's try that again. Fuck it. I can't say it.
I was like, are you really going to try it again? I'm not sure you're going to pull it off any better.
Opson, whatever. You guys know that name there that Kim posted.
Yeah.
OFSTHUN. How the hell do you say that? Often. I feel like I'm spitting on my microphone. Often. Yes. What's up, Davey? Good to see you, buddy.
It's fun listening to you try it, though. I'll tell you.
Tomboy said Ofston. There. Whatever. Thanks, guys. Appreciate the. We need to do Hooked on Phonics with the damn name. I came and talked today. Jesus. Anyway, that's the name. I've never even heard that name. I know who Reed Upmore was, but that's a new one for me.
Read Up More. That name sounds super familiar.
Read Up More was one of the ones that Kaylee had dated at one point.
Oh
I
yeah,
believe.
yeah. That's probably right. Yeah. Reading Rainbow.
Take
All
a
right. What
look.
else?
It's in the
Yeah,
book. It's the Reading Rainbow. That dude's still out there too. That's crazy.
it's in a book. It's the Reading Rainbow. All right. Other questions, comments. Why is Ray saying? Hold on. Why is Ray saying he is guilty? I don't know that he is. The book hasn't come out, so we're hearing people who sound like. So here's the $1 million question, and I still don't know the answer. Like 40 pages of the book was released, right, as a teaser or a pre-look. Are the people who are talking about like they've read the book only basing it on the 40 pages, or did they read the whole book? I think some people, like Lana and Truth and Transparency, have read the entire book, which indicates that they got an advanced copy. But again, then I have to comment on whether or not they're correctly interpreting it. So I've heard an email where someone says, I read the book and here's what it says. He thinks he's guilty. But again,
I have the email. I received I was one of the ones that get the email on it, and he says it in the email. But what he does say though is that um it's all about the investigation, basically. But again, in the book, by the way, for those of you that don't, I'm waiting on my book to get here too. They had to republish it, I guess, whatever that means. But
I feel like they pushed the date back because of the timing. They wanted to coincide with something. That's what I think it
that's
is.
what I thought too.
I don't think it's anything else than a timing move. They want to time it with something. Maybe it's the custody queen's interview. Maybe it's something else, but they want to time it with something. So,
well, there is as always, like we were screaming about the other night, there is an Amazon series coming out. So
yeah, maybe it's time for that.
Maybe it's falling in line with that, you guys. That's all I'm saying. But
whatever it is, it's a marketing move, I think, to do. And look, a lot of people come. By the way, Rubik's Cube, we're looking for you to. You don't have to have the super chat. You don't have to spend money to get your thing. So I got you pinned to let you know we see you. So go ahead and give your question. You don't have to pay money to have your question.
Yeah, you don't have
read.
to chat to ask questions. No way.
No.
Go ahead.
I forgot what I was
going to say something. So did I.
Yeah.
I had a thought there, and then I said what I said about that, and then I lost it.
I was going to say Whitcomb's book. Some people. So what happened with Whitcomb's book when we were told we were going to get an interview, and then all of a sudden they were like, "Oh, Barnes and Noble just released the book, and it's out. It's contained, and go for it." Some people really, really are certain that was a marketing tool as well.
Agree.
They purposely leaked the book to create hype and buzz to get everybody excited and go, and it created advanced sales, and it's all part of the game, right? So that maybe that was all part of the game. But
my whole opinion on him now was that the reason why he did the interviews and did the whole thing that he did was to just sell the book. So you did your job. We all sold it for you, sir. Thank you for the information you were going to give to everybody that you never shared. So we appreciate that. I'm a little angry about that still, folks. So don't mind me. Just tell me to shut up, and I will. That bothers me, but that's why I will not.
I agree.
I mean, anybody that comes out going forward here, guys, in this case, I mean, anybody. I don't care who it is, even if it's Ann Taylor or the judge, for Christ's sake. Show us the information, and then we'll believe you. That's all I'm saying.
Right.
I want to see receipts, period.
Because only showing us half information, sorry, that doesn't cut it. That doesn't help me trust you, bro.
Exactly. You can tell us all you want.
Right.
Bingo, Scully's right. You left everybody with blue balls, 100%.
Do you know the answer to this question that Rubik's Cube put up there about Barry and Loach?
Barry and Loach have interviews, in my opinion, from my understanding, with the FBI. That's why we don't see them. That's what I was. That's my understanding. There is a report, though. I think that Barracoa did, but that's all we got. I don't see any, or have not seen any kind of like an actual interview with him, other than the report. So if there's a report, there's got to be an interview. But I believe that Connor found out that Loach's interview was done with the feds. So that's interesting to me too, that they went directly to the feds with him. So I have questions for that one. And of course, we're never going to get that. Never. Welcome, guys. Good to see you.
Barry is that Barracoa was also
Yeah.
Sobro passing by 1122 that night, including the 4 a.m. allegedly.
That's when he was out. Supposedly, was at 4 a.m. and he said it was so quiet tonight, or that night. Sorry, you're good, Davey. Yeah.
Keep the questions and comments coming. This is good. I like having some.
Did you drop the
interaction
link,
here.
Robin?
Yeah.
Did you drop the link
Do
to
you want it
backstage?
Yes,
Yeah,
I've
put it in the
dropped the link
private
like
chat.
3 times.
Okay,
Yeah.
throw it in the private
Yeah.
chat for me. I'll see if anybody on my side wants to come up here too. Yeah,
Amanda sent us some docs on the EWU.
Yep.
Yeah, I did see that. I took a look a little bit at it, but I haven't gone like deep dived on it yet. But I saw that.
I hope Kim is right too with what she just said there about the EWU stuff, because if they do with the Fed stuff, there's got to be something. Not that they'll get anything out of it, but at least go after it. I agree. What is it? Come on up here, Jess. Talk to us. That's the topic.
I feel like that's the problem right now. They have decided they're just not going to answer public requests. They're just not going to answer what they don't want to answer. And
Yeah,
I think,
and no
I think
one's holding them accountable.
Right, they're pulling our punk card because
Yeah.
you have to lawyer up, and they've got more money than you do.
Well,
So-
and that makes me wonder too, though, you guys, the way that they've been holding back on FOIAs and certain FOIAs and things like that. It makes me wonder, or records requests, I should say. Makes me wonder if it's all for timing purposes, because something's coming at some point. You know what I mean?
I do. Yeah, I do think I mean, with the WSU lawsuit and possible post-conviction relief from Koberger, I would imagine that could be a reason to hold on to some things. Will they just magically open it all up when those things pass? Probably not. I feel like they're going to forever hide information on this case.
I agree. Yeah, I agree with you.
Oh, and we were going to talk a little bit about whether or not the new Supreme Court ruling will change anything.
The Scottish.
Yeah, and the only reason I say that, so it leaves the possibility for sure. But to me, I don't like the language, which is it's only going to be used when it's an egregious error. So who gets to decide whether it's an egregious error? If it's the prosecution, they're never going to say it was an egregious error. If it's the defense, they're probably always going to say it's an egregious error. So who's the oversight? There is no oversight. It's just if it's obvious that an error was made, then you waiving your right to appeals can be relooked at, but it has to be egregious. And there really is nothing spelled out about who gets to decide whether something was an egregious error or not. That's the problem I have with it.
I agree. That is an issue for sure.
But it's at least something that they're willing to look at. So,
very good point.
Sparkly Fish says having a hard time reading Broken Please since so many are disappointed in the book and the author. Well, I will say this: I think you should read it. It's not a waste of time. It's got bomb. It literally, like, I don't say this often. I don't like using the bombshell. There are bombshells in that, especially. Well, right now you may have heard a lot of the bombshells, like the hair in Ethan's hand, like the hair that was in the bed, clumps of hair with the root DNA in it, up in the bed with Maddie and Kaylee. There's all the stuff at the cover. There are bombshells in it. By now you've probably heard about it. But the people who are shitting on Christopher Wickham in the book aren't necessarily. It's not a hit piece. It's not a hit piece on Koberger. No. You may question.
I would still read
motives.
it. Yeah.
The biggest thing people didn't like about Whitcomb was that he would say, especially on interviews, that he thinks law enforcement did a great job, and nobody following this case in our audiences think that law enforcement did a great job. So then you hear him say, "I think law enforcement did a great job." And you're like, fuck that guy. Like that's your immediate response.
Well, and then Lana,
trust me, he questions law enforcement plenty in that book.
Lana finally got him to admit that they did something wrong during their interview. It was kind of funny the way she did that, but yeah, and he, it is what it is. The problem is, again, he sold a book. That's what he was doing, in my opinion. There's a few nuggets in there, I'll say, that gave us some information, but I'm starting to notice things in it, like the timeline that they have in the back. I think it's chapter 9 or 10 in the back there. It's almost like it was written. There's so many mistakes within that timeline now that I've noticed where the times are like, you have a time ahead of the other time, and then it's off by this number, and that one's off there. so on and so forth. You know,
What I'm really feeling, and as someone who is an author and also knows this case, is that these people who are putting out books and so forth, they don't know the case. There's the difference. They
Yeah.
haven't sat here for 3 years like the rest of us who have gone through this case, in minute detail. And so when we ask them a question, they get all flustered because they don't know the fucking answer.
get him,
Right.
Robin. Seriously,
Yeah.
that's a fact.
They don't.
That's what's been setting us off, you guys, because it's 100% fact. 100% fact. We should have figured it out, Lee, and you know this too because you were catching. I could tell by your faces when you were interviewing Chris after that day that we did that whole thing, and he's saying things like, "Well, did you see this? You got this right. That was released, wasn't it? Wasn't it? Wait a minute. What do you mean? You should fucking know
Don't you
that because you were
know?
the one that was writing the damn book." So
Right.
yeah,
Right.
that kind of pointed to something there, but we all just kind of rolled away from it because of what we were doing. So I think that was a good point, and you are absolutely right, Robin. 100%.
Yeah. Real quick, shout out to AR Hayes in the house, and if you want to come up,
Hey.
AR, you can grab a link and come up here. But yeah,
What's up, AR?
one of the things that bothered me that Chris said, and I understand it, and I don't understand. Already inside, Maddie Mogan. Oh yeah, you got that book. Was that the one?
I started actually reading this. This isn't that bad, and this is not pointing at as this is another version. How can I explain this? Obviously, it's an AI book, okay, but it does say it kind of shows the problems in the case to some aspect. I'll say like it's pointing out things that are not right, things that are wrong. So it's actually worth reading to some extent, guys. It's not very long. See, it's real thin. But and it's not that expensive. Thank one of my amazing moderators sent it to me, and I love her for it because it's actually kind of interesting. And guys, it's actually got pictures in it too. So
Ooh,
and it
cool.
shows some diagrams, and that's something else that very easily. Okay, this is another problem since I'm on this point. You could have thrown some photographs in here in certain aspects about certain things with things you were talking
Mhm.
about. Okay, it would have not been a big deal. You could have showed the hair. You're talking about hair in somebody's hand. You could have showed that. You could
Do
have
you
done
know
things like
why
that.
I'll tell you why they don't. Because and I know this because I have wanted to include pictures in my own books, but Amazon specifically will charge you more to sell the digital copies if you have pictures in your books.
Oh,
Yeah,
good
and the
point,
publishing
Robert.
cost goes up for
So
the printer as well when you're printing hard copies.
That makes sense.
exactly,
Well,
exactly. That's why
I
they don't. But they have the big enough budget to
yeah.
absorb that they could. They
I
could
mean,
do that.
how easy would it have
Real quick
been?
before we get too far, we got AR Hayes backstage. I just want to make
Oh
sure he
yay!
acknowledges where we
Oh,
got him
okay.
backstage. So let's make room. I mean, if you want to finish your thought, go ahead. I just want to make sure you know he's waiting backstage. We'll
No,
bring him up.
that's cool. You can bring him up anytime. Come
All
on up, bro.
What's up, sir?
How are you guys?
Good.
What's up, brother? How are you?
I'm doing well. It's been a minute.
Yeah,
Yeah,
good to see you, bro. I ain't
haven't talked
heard
to you
from you in a
personally for a
while.
long time. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's been interesting, up and down battle. I know, Lee, you were out here
Yeah.
for CrimeCon. I tried to get an offer out there to you. I could have got your rooms all covered for you and everything for you, but I wasn't able to get in touch with you. I apologize about that.
No worries. Yeah, I was hoping to meet up with you when I was there, but it just didn't seem to. We didn't seem to connect in the right channels or whatever. So, but that's I didn't even get to when I was there. I didn't even get to watch JLR get kicked out of the Caesar's Palace. I missed that too, and I was right there. But so.
It was probably a better thing that I missed CrimeCon with that little ordeal going on because
yeah,
I just don't. I'm just glad I missed it.
Not a fan either. I get it.
Yeah, he wasn't. He didn't have tickets. He just sat outside the elevator or the staircase going up to CrimeCon and sat there and videotaped people going in, and they found that annoying and kicked him out.
They let you do that?
No, well, obviously
No,
they didn't because they kicked him out. They kicked him out. He brought a table in and he set up a table with another YouTuber and they sat there filming people as they were walking into CrimeCon to go up the stairs to the main floor. And they quickly sent security and said, "You can't do that."
Oh my God, dude! That's so pathetic. Come on now.
Yeah, they didn't even have tickets to CrimeCon. They were just.
It's a couple of the YouTubers, Dago, that have been sitting outside Nancy Guthrie's home that were arrested, and so
What's
I
that
mean,
other
it's
dude?
just a good thing that I missed it because obviously, being from Arizona, the gentleman that got arrested, I've been on the same yard as him in the past in the penitentiary,
Yeah.
so
What's
I noticed
that
Huh?
YouTube dad guy or that guy? Is that his name? Something dad or dad's live or live
Mhm.
dad or something? That one?
No, Criminal Network, Alex, Criminal
Oh,
Network.
okay. I
Yeah,
got you. Got you. Okay. I didn't see that.
yeah.
Unfortunately, I quit following Nancy's case because I didn't understand it anymore. It doesn't make any damn sense to me. They've done nothing that any investigation I would ever imagine for a
Well, and
missing
that's one
person
thing
would
I was
do.
going to present because I know you guys were kind of discussing how difficult the investigation, the Idaho 4 case is to really, trying to say anything good about it. Even I, who have a little different perspective on the case overall now, cannot say anything good about the investigation itself.
Yeah.
Arizona is actually worse. Arizona
Yeah.
is by far worse when it comes to investigations, law enforcement, police activity. I've learned that the hard way, but
Well, that the
guys, I
sheriff.
just always want to say I always tune in to everybody here. I know I don't mingle as much. I got a lot of respect for all of you. I know some people have approached me as if I had something negative to say towards any of you, and I don't. I don't have anything negative to say about any of your hard work, anything you guys have to say, and I still tune in. I still appreciate you. I just do it from afar.
We can
Yeah,
have
no worries.
differing opinions and still not have issues with each other. I say that every day, just
Yeah.
about. I
Yeah,
mean,
real
that's
quick. Real quick, let me address this real quick because we've had this pinned up real quick, and we'll go back to our discussion. Did Logan and 1-1 leave Crimes After Dark? Yes and no. 1-1, no. 1-1 has gotten super freaking busy since he got promoted, and they got him on all kinds of rotating thing. And you got New York having a bunch of major things going on, and so all of those has required him to be all over the place, and that's just a matter of scheduling. So he will be here every minute that he possibly can. Logan still goes with Dago on, I think, once a week or fairly often over there. She hasn't been on our show for quite a
Saturday.
long time. So yeah. So nobody got kicked off. These were choices. Logan chose to do something else, and 1-1's just fucking super busy, but he will be around.
Yeah.
He will be around. So thanks for asking.
Yep.
But yeah, this case, it's just like I said, we talked about it. It's fatiguing because we're waiting for the big shoe to drop, waiting for the big PCR. If PCR gets filed, everything changes in this case, and it'll be a lightning rod, and everything will then have to be re-examined because there'll be a potential not retrial. There'll be a potential trial if he files post-conviction relief. But if that doesn't happen, this thing's going to die a slow death because there's nothing going to change. It is what it is. And so I keep waiting. Like, okay, let's get something, either file the PCR. But the problem is, if he doesn't file PCR, we have to wait till September. That's the thing. Like, we literally, there's nothing that's going to come say, hey, guys, I'm not going to file a post-conviction relief. So that's not going to happen. So we have to literally wait till the time runs out. And even then, it's not technically over because there are other ways that you can get it re-looked at. Again, exculpatory evidence that comes out, like somebody else got a video footage saying he wasn't there. Like, it's never 100% truly over, but at least September, if he doesn't file PCR, it seems like that should be it, but will it? I don't know. It's crazy.
Well, and again, as I've been saying every time I talk about anything to do with that, it's all up to him. If he doesn't choose to do anything, it's not going to matter. It's his choice. If he decides to sit in prison for the rest of his life and not file anything for any reason, you got to take it for what it is, folks. It's his choice. Nobody can make him do it.
Nope.
Ann can't make him do it. Mastoff can't do it. No attorneys can make him force it. Nobody. So at that point, that's all there is to it, And it's sad sometimes. Some people believe that it's horrible, that he's doing this and doing that, not doing that, but it's his choice. Everything he's done is his choice. We all have to remember that. So
now, one thing I'd like to add to it, and this kind of goes to help the people that do feel as though maybe something's coming down the road's theory and thought. People need to realize when you're in the penitentiary, your mind is in a whole nother place. So you don't realize time frames. You might think you got more time than you actually do to file something. Then all of a sudden it comes right down to that, and you got to get it in last minute. You also got to live every single day within. So when people say, well, it is up to Brian, it is up to Brian. But literally, people need to remind Brian, because he's in a place where your mind is on many other things. A lot of people are, he lives on death row. People need to understand that he lives on death row. So you've got the worst of the worst criminals around you. And a lot of people don't understand, when you walk around every single day, you have to deal with that. And it controls your thinking, your mind. So, I have maybe at some point he's going to throw a loop in there. We're going to have a trial. I would rather see a trial. Look, I rather would. Whether I feel as though now he did it or didn't do it, damn, let's go trial just so that we can squash all this. I want to see what the case the prosecution wants to put on. Yeah. Put on something. At least show us something. Do something, because you're sure as hell not doing so after the fact. You're not parading around like you got the right guy.
No.
Let me show you how we got the right guy.
Well,
I come from places where that's what they do. When they get the right guy, they're jumping up and down, and they're excited to show it and prove it.
They didn't. That's a good point, AR. They didn't do that. They just did their quick little after show thing, and they walked away, and that was that. And that's what supposedly is coming from Amazon, guys, is a whole I guess you could call it another hit piece, where it's going to be law enforcement explaining, we got the right guy and this is how we did it. So
anything coming from Amazon, man, let's just all admit it, it's all going to be bullshit. It's all going to be bullshit.
Of course.
I'm one.
Well, especially because Patterson has his hand in it. So there you are.
It's all bullshit.
Absolutely.
So the prosecution, the law enforcement, the FBI, everybody tucked their tails between their legs because they know their investigation is shoddy. They backdoored it. They cheated it. Even I'll say that, like a guy that's at this point that I say, well, Brian took the heat. Damn, he did it. At the end of the day, the law enforcement didn't showcase themselves whatsoever in any of this. So
I do want to pose a question, and I don't think the answer is yes. But when I talked to Christopher Whitcomb about the book and the interview and all that sort of that, one of the things he hinted at was that there were law enforcement insiders that were going to be coming forward. And so we talk about the new Amazon special, and we know that law enforcement is part of the Amazon special. They're going to be talking to law enforcement. Is there any remote possibility that a shocker is we all say, oh, it's just going to be a hit piece, but is there any possibility that part of the shocker of the Amazon special is going to be law enforcement coming out with something that actually turns the case on its head? Is it a possibility?
Let's just all hope they say something really stupid that comes full fold that just showcases that they are full of it, and now you can prove it. Because people slip up in their words, man. I'm telling you.
That's a good point too, AR, and what you said, Lee, with what he said on top of that. We could be surprised. You never know. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, he literally said a documentary is coming out, and he also said law enforcement would be coming out, and so you put the two together. There's a documentary coming out with law enforcement. Is it possible? I mean, I would be stunned, right? Par for the course is just to continue to hold the same narrative that we got it right, and here's why we got it right, and we're just going to say it over and over again until the public stops asking questions. But who knows?
Maybe they'll explain in that why they didn't make him explain anything. You know what I mean? Since he's so guilty.
I'll tell you, one thing, and I've reserved my words on that because a lot of people, this is one big thing, as creators and discussionary, a lot of people attack that. They want to know, why didn't anybody step up to the plate and force Brian Koberger to say something? Look, it's rare.
That's the way it goes.
It's rare. I'm telling you, I've been around the block with these guys. A lot of them, they won't. They're not saying anything. And I'm in 100% agreement with everybody that says prosecution wanted this plea agreement. I absolutely agree.
Without a doubt.
Absolutely agree. Even if Brian Koberger's defense team approached him for this plea, oh, the prosecution was so happy. They were so happy. But at the end of the day, you can't force Brian Koberger. Now, them coming out and saying, well, we wouldn't believe what he said anyway. It's bull. You would have
Right.
loved it if he would have gave up info.
That was an excuse. Right. I agree
Right.
with you.
Yeah, you would have loved that. But, you know, being around these guys, man, it's rare. I've literally watched some of these guys that are guilty as all daylights literally stand up and say, I didn't do it. I'm not the monster you say I am. And you know they are. I mean, they got direct evidence of it. But
when I heard Thompson stand up and basically reread the PCA and add a couple things to it, I was like, and that was it, the change of plea agreement hearing. I said right there, I'm like, you don't have a case. You didn't have a case. This is crazy. And that was the end of it. That was it. Over. And I said, I still can't believe that. I mean, I can, because all we heard, I mean, you were around back in the beginning with it as well, AR, and you heard, no matter what side you were on with this, how you felt about it, we all heard there's so much evidence that's going to come out during this trial. They have so much evidence against him.
Yep. Yeah.
We all heard that, and they showed nothing. Nothing. So it just makes me question that. Like, how were you going to do this? And that's why I believe it was never going to go to trial. I believe that it was always set for a plea deal, in my opinion.
And I spoke out numerous times saying this case, there's no possible way this gets pled out. And that's not even just by Brian Koberger's standards of a plea bargain. Like, I never thought the defense would ever plea bargain in this case, because the best you're going to do is life without the possibility of parole. They're going to throw some weird crap into the plea bargain. And plus, then you're going to go sit in the worst of the worst, maximum security, lockdown, segregated penitentiary. And I saw somebody ask that, death row. Yes, all 8 Idaho male inmates, well, one just died, so there's 7 left, sit in J block on the top tier to the right. Brian Koberger is on the bottom tier, 4 cells to the left of them. I'm not going to tell you how I know this. He's sitting literally within talking distance of the death row inmates. So I just did a video, as a matter of fact, and I'm not promoting myself, stating Brian Koberger pled guilty to life without the possibility of parole in the penitentiary, but he's still serving the death sentence on death row. Isn't that kind of funny?
Aren't they keeping him in some kind of special custody because of the situation? Is that why he's over there?
That's J block, and he'll be there 15 to 20 years. And if he does have other issues, and I'm not saying he's mentally, I don't know what issues the kid has. They'll keep him segregated for the rest of his life, which is sad. Right. You don't want to live that life. I'm telling you, you don't want that. My wife and I were talking about the other day, and she looked right at me. She said, would you take life in the penitentiary without parole? Hell no, I wouldn't. No.
Isn't that 23 and 1 AR, 23 down, 1 out?
Yes.
A day? That's what I thought. Okay.
Yeah,
that's no kind of life.
I'm going to tell you now, when they say that, you don't get an hour out every day. When they say you get an hour out every day, they actually mean 3 days a week. When they say you shower every other day, they actually mean you shower 3 times in a week, maybe even less. It depends, because they go on security lockdowns all the time on these units.
Right.
You have to remember, Idaho Maximum Security Institution is not all this type of unit. J block is the only unit of its kind. All the other blocks come out daily. They're out together. They go to the chow hall. They're restricted in their rec time to 2 hours a day, but they all go out together. This is different. This is single man cells. Anytime you come out of your cell, you're in shackles, you're in cuffs. You can't do anything with other inmates. Yes, they'll allow 4 to 5 inmates out at a time, but you're in different cages within the day room, or you're in the shower cage, or you're in the phone cage. This is different. This is absolutely segregated. This is all your affiliation members. Right. This is your death row inmates. This is the worst of the worst in the state. You get to clean your cell once a week. You get to use shampoo when you do that. You don't get cleaning supplies. So people that think this is a normal unit, this isn't. You get
Right.
40% of what you can order commissary wise is all you get. You don't get good stuff. So
Jesse Lynn had asked me to ask you your thoughts on when Steve Gonsalves did one of his most recent interviews. He had stated that they brought up an Alfred plea, that they were going to offer. Brian was trying to get an Alfred plea or something like that, and that it was denied. What do you think about that? That's what Steve had stated in his. I think it was when he was at CrimeCon. He made that statement.
well, and I
If
try
you
not
have
to
it.
speak negatively in regards to victims' families. I've tried to just make my own pact in this. But if I'm allowed to use the wording "he's full of shit," then I would like to be able to say that. He's
I
been
think we
that
all
way
do.
from the
allowed.
entirety of this case, and I've gone at him personally, behind the scenes, whatever way. He's full of shit. Idaho doesn't do Alfred police. Brian Koberger's attorneys would know that. Now, did Brian Koberger potentially not know that and want that? Probably. Hell, we would all want that. I would love it too. In every case I pled out, I'd love to say I didn't do it. Even when I did, I would love to say I didn't. I wouldn't take anything that Steve says as even 50% fact.
That's my next question, you guys. And I just don't understand it. Okay. We have heard so much from them, and you guys know I'm the same as like what AR said. I don't go at them to purposely come at them. It's not that. It's because they make so many statements out here that we all question what they're saying. We want to listen to them. We want to be able to believe a victim's family member. But damn, just about everything he's told us has turned out to be wrong or sideways somehow, or it just doesn't fit, or it's just complete bullshit. Like you said, he's full of shit. What the hell is the deal with this? This makes no sense to me. What are you
I
gaining from this?
realized a long time ago, Dago, because as you know, he would email me. I think he does email creators from time to time. He's definitely stopped emailing me. So let me put something to rest when people say I've been bought or paid off because my opinion has changed. There's nobody that's willing to buy or pay me off. And trust me, I'm not on the upcoming financially guruing it on this side of things. So I haven't been bought or paid off over here.
Right.
But I've distanced myself because there's never been a time, even in the emails that he emailed me, something that was ever verifiable as correct or true. Anything that he ever specified to me turned out to actually be untrue. And it became very aggravating, as you guys probably know, when we actually do dive in, we do research, we do want truth, we do want some factual things to base our thoughts on. And
Right.
then you just feed me a line of crap and then expect me to run with that. Well, that's not what I'm about. That's not who I am. And whether I believe he's guilty or innocent, I'm not going to run with crap to prove either way. I'm still down the fence. Can anything prove that Brian Koberger committed this crime? No, not in my opinion. There's not a damn thing I've seen that can prove he did the crime. However, I can't call Brian a liar when he steps up and takes responsibility and has said nothing against that since. Now, if he started screaming innocence after he took the plea, saying, hey, I knew I was going to be put to death, I knew this, I knew that. Okay, well, now I'm going to continue to possibly believe something else happened there. I don't know. I've just been through the ringer too many times myself, through the system, through the plea agreements, through all of this, that it's just hard for me to accept the fact that he's sitting there so patiently and so quietly. And I do know somebody in that unit. Unfortunately, when you do time, you still have connections to people doing time. So I do know somebody there. And, there's just not much to say that other than he's just pedaling along doing his thing. So
I'd like to know if he does know what his options are, if any, and if he's being communicated with to know what he should be doing or not be doing, or what he could be doing, or any of that. I
could give you a little bit of news from the person that talks to me. Brian Koberger uses the phone daily, and it's not personal phone calls to family. I also know he is still receiving lawyer visits. I can't say it's daily, but he is still going to law, to the law library, and he's still having lawyer interactions and visits. I don't know who the lawyers are. I wish I could tell you. I don't know. And the people I talk to, there's no way they would know. So even if they tried to tell me, it would probably be a line of crap. But he does leave his unit more than a few times to go to law visits and various things that are transpiring. Wish I could tell you more, but I don't know more. I do know he's been in a few mingling situations in there, and he's handled himself well. He's not scared. He's not scared of anybody. It's not information I want to come out and do content on, because I don't like sharing people's doing time stories. That I never liked it when somebody would talk about mine. I got my ass whooped a couple of times in the penitentiary. I don't want people to talk about it. You know what I mean? But from what I understand, he's just plugging along like most people in the penitentiary do. He's learning. He's had the ups, the downs. He's had the issues with the food. He's had issues with commissary. He's got, he gets commissary sacks every week. And people say, how's he survive without dollars? He's got money, guys. He's got money on his books. He gets commissary.
Yeah. Kenny Mag said, yeah, if you're talking about Koberger having no money, even the Gonzalez's said at CrimeCon that he has $40,000 to $45,000 in commissary on his books.
How would they know that though?
No,
so they've gone after the money, they said, and they're not allowed to touch it.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Let me.
I don't think you can have that much on your books.
You can't. Can I explain like how I know that's so fictitious? And I just want people to understand. One, when you leave jail and you go to the penitentiary, your money transfers via check from the county jail that you're at to the penitentiary. Anything up and above a certain amount of money, every state's a little bit different. Anything up and above that amount goes home. It goes either to your restitution or it goes to your family. Because he left going to the prison system before restitution was decided, he cut a check back to whoever he decided to cut that check to. At that point, people can continuously put money on your books. Let me just use an example. In Arizona, you're allowed $5,000 on your commissary account. Anything up and above that can no longer go on your account. They will return it to sender. So if somebody sends me a money order and I'm at $5,001 and they send $100 and it's up and above, it goes back. It gets sent back. You can't have it. I can tell you right now, I've done time in Idaho. I've done time there. You cannot have $40,000 on your books. You can't.
That's what I thought. I looked that up whenever they said that, and it said you can't. That's why I said that. So
now also them stating, well, we're going after the money that he has on his books. What you got on your books, you can't get. What comes in after the fact, you can. You get a percentage of it. When you work, you get a percentage of that. Dago, if you sent Brian Koberger $100 tomorrow, they could take 25% of that.
Right.
So he would get the difference of whatever that is. That's why I used to put money on other people's books when I was in the prison system. And I had so many restitution deals going on. I would get either my next door neighbor or somebody else I was associated with. I'd say, hey, do you have restitution? No. Okay. Here comes $300 to your books. I need you to shop for A, B, and C on commissary for me and then shoot it over. Guards will move it over to the cell for you. It's no big deal. But for somebody to say Brian Koberger has 40 grand on his books, it's not possible. I'm not saying he didn't get 40 grand in donations. He probably did. He probably did. I know JB Gunner sent him a substantial amount of money. Look, I sent him a substantial amount through a collection of donations that I took a while back. This was 2 years ago. I was able to send some money. I know many people that do. More power to those that want to do that. Great. Just know now you're going to lose a percentage. And if he is up and over the $5,000, you'll just get your money back. It just is what it is.
That's another statement
You're
that
muted,
Steve made.
Lee.
Sorry. Yeah, I was going to say, if I understand Candy Mag's question, I think it comes to the idea that Steve's several times run his mouth that when Koberger gets into General Pop, he's got a pop coming. He's been, he's said many times they're gonna kill him or whatever as soon as he gets into General Pop. So I don't know if that's what Candy Mag says, but they're asking, what does AR think of Steve Gonzalez putting a stake on his head? And I think that's what he means, like basically saying, he's talking to people about taking him out when he gets in Gen Pop.
He's got it coming. He just said it at CrimeCon again.
Yeah.
First of all, somebody, I agreed with you, Dago, when I heard you say that that's actually a chargeable offense of threatening and intimidating. Even if somebody has lost their rights because they're now an inmate, you still can't threaten an inmate because that's putting the entire system at a security risk.
Yes.
Now, when it comes down to a hit on Brian Koberger in the penitentiary, have I heard, various little things from people I know? Look, nobody's liked in the penitentiary. I want people to understand that. Nobody's liked in the penitentiary. Everybody's got an enemy. It just is what it is. Is he going to get popped? I doubt it. Unless some money transpires, some commissary gets bought. But then people are at risk of actually being arrested for aiding and abetting that type of thing. And I just don't, I don't see him getting out of where he is right now, J Block, unless he goes out of state. Like, I think that's the first move. If he stays in Idaho, they're going to transfer him out of state. At some point, he'll end up, they got a connection in Arizona. He can go to Eloy, Arizona. He can go, there's 2 other states they can easily send him to. I
was going to ask you if you thought they could do that whole prisoner transfer thing, maybe between Pennsylvania and Idaho.
It won't ever. Yeah, that would never happen. They'll never move him that close to his family.
Okay.
The unfortunate thing for him, if he had gone federal, he could have gone straight to Pennsylvania to do his federal time. That's kind of where I was lucky in some of my cases. I was dual. I was both state and fed. So I always just got in trouble on the state. So they would send me to a fed yard, somebody else, and it was great. With him being in Idaho, he can always request, hey, I want to be moved out of state, but he has to go where another state is willing to take him on, and Pennsylvania will never do that, mainly because of the view and everybody that would just hoopla all over that. And it would probably put his family at a little bit of a risk too. But they also don't want to they don't want to move you close to your family. They moved me as far away from my family as they could every single time. And then anytime my wife would move to the area closer, they would move me again. And, wow. In a life sentence, Brian Koberger can be moved. In my opinion, he'll be moved over 100 times. At least. I mean, that would be,
to move him out of state, don't they have to do like a trade with another prisoner to bring back that way too? Or is that how that works? Or is there another way to do it?
They can. I mean, there's always the interstate trade compacts that the various prisons had. But I got sent out of state numerous times, state to state, just because another state was willing to take me, even if they didn't have somebody to move back. The other state had a facility they could take me, and then Arizona would just pay them the bill to house me. I went to Oklahoma. I went to Indiana. I went to various places when I was an Arizona inmate. And the same thing will happen with Brian if it's necessary. Like with this Steve Gonzalez statement, if that really got looked into and Idaho felt that was a sincere statement and Brian Koberger was ever to come out of the facility he was to come out of, he would go out of state just based on that comment.
Yeah. Yeah, that's where they sent Richard Allen was Oklahoma.
Yeah. And Richard Allen, I guess you guys know better than I do. He has an appeal in the works now, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Sometime in September is when oral arguments are going to be presented for, both by sides to a 3-panel judge on the appellate court.
And that's what bothers me so much, guys, about the Brian Koberger situation. I get the want to get the death penalty off the table. I get all that. I understand. But if you go trial, the open door of appeals left to you. I mean, anything could go wrong in the jury room. Anything could go wrong with the court of the clerk of the court. Anything can go wrong with the judge. Anything can go wrong with the jail. I mean, God, ineffective counsel, prosecutorial misconduct. And now, it leaves all of us sitting here scratching our head going, why the hell did you just shut all that down and take a plea bargain to go serve 4 consecutive life sentences when that's literally, if he got found guilty at trial, that's what he would have done anyway. Thomas Creech has been on death row in Idaho since 1983. They've attempted to put him to sleep numerous times, complete failures. And now it's going to be a stay of execution probably for the man's rest of his life. And he's been there since 1983. I know people on death row in Arizona that have been there since the 60s, the 70s. And that's a state that loves to put people down. And I have one of my really good friends is on death row in Arizona, and he laughs. He's in appeal like 950 right now. And, he wrote me a letter the other day saying, and they think they're getting death out of me. They're never, he's going to end up passing of natural causes before he ever got put to death. So I'm still baffled by the decision. I look at Ann Taylor, I look at the defense team, and I just kind of shake my head and I say, what the hell were you thinking?
AR, hold on, bro. I don't mean to interrupt you. Lucy or Jesse or anybody, get rid of that 420 Angel person like right now. Please. They're talking shit to people on both sides and disrespecting everybody in here. Just remove them, please. There's no need for any of that. Nobody was bullying anybody. Nobody was being ignorant. You came in here talking the way you were. Esty said something to you. Lucy said something to you, and everybody was being nice to you. So you can go away now. Bye-bye. Have a good day.
Yeah, we're not going to put up with that on either side. So you don't have to come back here either.
Go ahead, Lucy, or Jess, or any of you. Just do what you got to do.
Did I bring some amazing people to the crowd? No,
it ain't you. It ain't you, bro. I'm not going to have anybody disrespecting any of the moderators in here at all on either side. So just have a good day.
Let me tell you, I got some really amazing people that love to leave comments in my section too. So I get it.
It happens.
People need to realize, even if we have disagreements, even if we have people within our communities that don't like the other person in another community, we don't have to be negative or rude towards each other. We don't have to be what I deem to be assholes.
Not at all.
And if you guys ever came to Vegas and I'm healthy and I'm here, I would love to meet up with you. It's not even about true crime. We're all human. We're normal human beings. I'd love to shake hands. I respect what you guys do. And people want to make it out as if we dislike or hate each other. And I have no ill feelings towards anybody.
No, it's not like that.
No.
We're adults. We're grown adults. That's not how this works. We're allowed to have
I might not agree
opinion.
with what you guys say, but that doesn't mean I don't like you and I don't come to support you.
That's right. Everybody has their own ideas and feelings about things, and that's okay.
Yeah. And that's why I'll never understand some of these guilters per se that have to go out here and try to go personal on people and just because they have a difference of opinion. That's
right.
Yeah.
That is so elementary school to me, and it's so ridiculous. Like, I've had differing opinions with multiple people. And I still would love to go sit down and have coffee and play cards with that same person, or you know what I mean? Hang out, go to the movies, have dinner with that person. People are people, folks. We're all we have, folks. There's no reason to disrespect people. Oh, that's a stupid person. AR's dumb because he said this, or Dago's an idiot because he said that. No, we don't do that to each other, you guys. We're grown adults, okay? You guys can do that to each other. That's not the way it's supposed to be. We don't do that just because everybody else wants to do that.
Well,
Sorry,
Dago,
Go ahead.
you and I kind of showcase exactly how it should be done. We've had our differences. We've butted heads back and forth. Dude, I've even said some really stupid things that I wish I had never said, but we handle it behind closed doors. We talk like men. We talk it out. We figure it out. And even if we just don't speak to each other for a month or two, that's okay. At least we're not assholes to each other.
That's how it works.
I respect the people in your community that fully love you and adore you, that don't like me. No problem. No problem. I have no issue with that. You know,
Right.
we're going to be talking other cases.
Thank you, Kathleen, for that. Real quick, we heard? Sorry, AR, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, that's fine.
Have we heard Taylor sent her? No, nothing has come out yet from her. I don't think there will be anything else from her at that point. And you know, I think a lot of people expected when all the stuff started popping up with Cy Ray that maybe Ann was going to make another statement. Nothing as of yet. So
now,
I don't know.
Cy Ray, I just guess I'm not so much in the loop. Is he supposed to still be on with Custody Queens?
July 16th. July 16th.
Yeah, thank you.
It'll be pretty interesting to see.
Well,
you know,
there's rules that go with this one. There's no and I'm curious because I said this on my channel too. I said the rules are there's no talking about Idaho 4. Well, okay. What I'm gonna watch is the chat disappear then, because if there's nobody if they're not gonna talk about Idaho 4 and nobody in the chat can ask questions about Idaho 4, do you think the chat's gonna stick around for that? Because the book that he wrote, don't get me wrong, it's not that it's not interesting, but there's very little in it about the Idaho 4. Okay, there's pieces of it in there, but not a whole book of it. And it's kind of a textbook type handbook thing for law enforcement, you know, attorneys, whatever you want to call it, about what he does. So if they're going to talk about that and they don't talk about Idaho 4 or anything like that, what do you think everybody's in there for? They're going to be there for the Idaho 4. So I have a feeling they're going to just kind of drizzle out little by little by little if they don't start talking about it. So we'll see.
If I could be a little bit of a negative Nancy in regards to an interview that this man who is so influential in the Idaho 4 with the Brian Koberger, if he is unwilling to at least respond to what he wrote in the book about the Idaho 4. Like, I don't need him to get into full out details. Don't break down all the break down the very simplicity of what I read the training manual. You know, I've been fortunate. I got that in advance, and I want to thank somebody who's very close to Cy Ray that was able to furnish that to me. And look, man, it's over my head. Like, I'm not that smart, guys. I'm not, but I did catch on to things that I read in regards to Idaho 4. And I would very much appreciate if you're going to come out in the public eye and you're going to do interviews and you are coming into a community that's very Idaho 4 based. I mean, come on. We all know Custody Queens is very Idaho 4 discussive. At least respond to things in regards to what you've written in the book. Don't get into details of the evidence of the case if you don't want to. Don't break your confidentiality agreement with Brian Koberger if you don't want to. That's fine. Respond to people's inquisitive questions about why you feel the way you felt walking into the case. That's not based upon evidence. That's based upon your feelings that you walked into the case with. Just basically lay it out flat. I mean, it's not that hard.
In the email that I got and I read, he states that he went into the case knowing Brian was guilty and that Brian's where he should be. That the reason he took the case is because he saw the bullshittery, we'll call it that, or fuckery, whatever you want to call it, that was going on in the investigation that they used to get Brian convicted, is what he claims in that interview, in that email. So, okay, explain that then. Explain what you have an issue with with law enforcement and what they did within the investigation. If you're not, don't say Brian's name for all I care, but explain that at the very least.
You know what you could do, Dago, and it's a great idea that he could do, even if he wants to leave Idaho 4 off the case, give us a comparable case that law enforcement maybe potentially did some similar things and utilize that case to pinpoint what you're really trying to say about the Idaho 4. Like if you feel as though law enforcement was avoiding X, Y, and Z, give us a case that we can all go look at that showcases law enforcement avoiding X, Y, and Z. Explain to us what we're looking at, why we're looking at that, and then we can dictate through our own thoughts, through our own capabilities of putting puzzle pieces together, how that fits the Idaho 4 case. Like I said, I'm a dumb. Like this stuff's above my head. But if you give me reference that I can go to and I can look into that reference, now I can make X, Y, and Z make sense to how I feel. And then I can portray that to why that might look a certain way for Brian or look a certain way in the Idaho 4 case. And that saves you the hassle of having to lay it all out, utilizing Brian and the whole kit. Just give us something to go look at. Give us something to reference. I know you guys would jump into it in a heartbeat.
Absolutely.
You guys would go reference that case. You would pick it apart. You would find out exactly what he means. And then with your intelligence, you could line it up with the Idaho 4. I mean, it's not that hard.
I absolutely agree.
The problem with Cy Ray in that regard is he's testified in something like 500 cases every single time for the prosecution. In my opinion, Cy Ray is the kind of guy that believes everybody accused is guilty, and he always testifies for the prosecution. It's weird that he even decided to come in on this thing, and his attitude has basically been, I think it's the right guy. They got the right guy, and he's where he belongs. But it doesn't excuse you doing something illegal to get him there. And I don't believe that the ends justify the means. So yeah, right guy. Hope he doesn't get out. But I also am not going to stand by and let you lie about how you got him, because you didn't get him the way that you said you did. And so that's kind of his weird stance. Is once again, everybody who's accused is guilty. He's guilty as well. But some people in law enforcement did some shady shit, and I don't think that's right. So I'm going to say something.
I just hope he stands on it.
Dago, and I'm sure you agree. I didn't mean to cut you off.
All right.
And I'm sure everybody will agree. This is not the first time he's seen something in the case that made him feel this way. It might be the first time he jumped on board and came, like to the table, like he did for Brian, meaning he had to come on the defense side of things. But I'm telling you, even on the prosecution side of things, when he came into a case, I guarantee you he had to consult the prosecution or law enforcement of errors they potentially made that made him feel a certain way that they had to rectify. Otherwise, he would have never even have been brought in or stepped into this case.
A good point.
It makes you wonder because there's no, in my opinion, there's no way Ann Taylor would have gone to Cy Ray to testify on behalf of her client, knowing his history, which is 100% always for the prosecution. So it makes me wonder, did Cy Ray reach out to her when he saw something? Like was Cy Ray sitting from the armchair and saw something and went, oh, fuck no, and called her and said, by the way, there's no way they did what they said they did. I know how that works.
The way he said that in the interview, it almost sounds that way, Lee. And real quick, let me say thank you to Kathleen Bell and Kat K for dropping memberships. Welcome to Johanna Jansen and the Baxter. Welcome to the sauce and the family. We appreciate you. Thank you, Kathleen and Kat, very much. Love you both. That's basically how he stated it, though, in the email that he sent out was what you just said. So, it makes you wonder for sure. Did he? He said, "I took on this case knowing that Brian was guilty, but for this reason." So, I mean, maybe we'll see. I don't know. Maybe he'll drop a bomb when he's in with the Queens and say something that is completely off key that will explain that. I don't know, but I believe that what Hitler did to him that day in that court was pretty negative in his life, I guess you could say, for his career. Calling him a conspiracy theorist, dropping that bomb, and then basically saying that he's threatening people's jobs, so on and so forth. But then he won't let him explain himself. Now, see, that's That's a problem. So
And
now
I'll
then
tell
we
you what,
see.
I've sat in many a courtrooms, Dago, and I've never seen an expert get spoken about in that way
Yeah.
until they're either up on the stand and the prosecution's dissecting them, and that's a part of the whole, testimony in front of the jury, and they get broken down, and then in the final summation, it's said, never by a judge in a preliminary hearing of things that are going to be utilized to get to trial. I mean, this
Right.
man was putting up his expertise in an argument to benefit Brian Kober before it even went to trial. And he
Right.
was shut down that way. And I've never seen that. I've never even heard of it. I've never even heard of that before.
It
To
doesn't make
think
sense.
that an expert that's literally from the law enforcement background for years upon years is now considered a conspiracy theorist because he gives an affidavit signed that this is exactly what he wants to testify to the court of law. And now you're a conspiracy theorist?
Right.
No. And that's why, I spoke the other day in regards to, I don't want people to literally turn their back on someone like Cy Ray until you actually hear from Cy Ray's mouth exactly what he means by what he's saying. Like, even I read the same email you guys did. I know exactly what was said. I know what was in the book. I know how, he did come into the case feeling as though Brian Koberger was guilty. And of course, my first note on Notepad is, how the hell can you feel that before you even know? We all, that's wrong. But, I'm not going to cut him short until I actually hear him out. And I just have this gut feeling within me. I don't know if you guys have the same gut feeling. Everybody's tucked their tails, man. Nobody's going to share nothing more with us. It's frustrating. We have to decipher for ourselves. And this is where disagreements happen because nobody's on the same page. And I appreciate the fact you guys have all really come together. I'm not on the same page just because I just haven't gotten there yet. I don't know if I will. Maybe I will. I don't know. But I mean, it's still frustrating, even for someone like me that's like, okay, he signed a plea. He's guilty. He's gone. He's doing the rest of his life in prison. I still scratch my head and go, but I'm not sure why. Why is he doing the rest of his life in prison?
I think that's the answer everybody wants, knowing what we know about the evidence and lack thereof. So,
yeah, absolutely. And
asked,
the answers are important. I mean, people have to understand this case is important for many, many reasons. And not just for this case alone. I mean, this case, all right, we've had legislation passed now because of this case. What is that legislation going to, are other places now going to pass that same legislation?
Yeah, I mean, that's a crazy question. To answer this question real quick, and first I want to say hi to Leslie and Billy, one of my favorite people on the whole entirety of YouTube that I've been able to mingle with. But in regards to getting Brian's phone calls, you're not ever going to get them. I mean, unfortunately, something is so long. I've tried, guys. Like, because I've done so much prison time, I know what you could do to get people's records. I know what you could do to get their commissary. I know what you could do to get the money on their books. I know how to do all that stuff, guys. And I cannot, for the life of me, get them to release one thing that is normally released on any level. I can't get phone calls that Brian makes. I can't get emails that Brian makes. I can't. And I'm not even talking about getting any of the legal stuff. Like, I don't want that stuff. Who's he calling? Like, did he call mama? What was that conversation like? Who's the little girlfriend that's on his phone call list that was approved for visitation? I want to know that. You
know what's interesting is when you remember Stephen Stern's AR with the Madeline Soto case. Okay.
Yeah.
We got his phone calls way back when, before he took his plea, anything. Okay. Between his parents and him, we got all of them repeatedly. So I don't understand. That's the point that I was making. Go ahead.
Yeah, I had people getting mine when I was incarcerated. People wanted to know what I was spending on my commissary, especially the people that I owed money to in restitution. They wanted to know, like, why are we not getting any money? I know people are putting money on his books, and they were trying to figure out whether it was going on my books or somebody else's books. So they were trying to get my phone calls to see who I was telling to send money where. I mean, all that stuff is typically fully available. It's not hard to get. Look at the all the stuff that's with Wade Wilson that's coming out. I mean, everybody's got stuff on Wade Wilson. Jodi Arias, you can get everything about Jodi Arias. You can't get anything about Brian Kober. I've been shot down. They literally told me, it was a couple of months ago. They said, "Oh, we don't give felons information." I'm like, that's not true, because a lot of felons got my information. So don't tell me that. That's
Yeah, it's wild because there's a lot of cases where phone calls are released and all this other stuff is coming out except for this one. And it's just something about that is interesting to me. That's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to go into it any deeper as to why, but I've covered multiple cases where we've looked at phone calls and listened to phone calls from prisoners to family members. The Richard Allen phone calls were all put out and released. All of that stuff, we got all of it, but not in this case. We can't hear nothing that Brian's saying to anybody, which is
I've been
interesting to
shot
me.
down on everything I've tried. I've tried to be the breaker of news on certain things, like, hey, if I can get this before everybody else, I can break this. Oh, it's going to help me. And that's like I get shot down. I don't want to
yeah.
talk about it.
Right. It is wild. It is definitely wild. Smiling Sleuth said, AR, do you think Brian's truly incarcerated? Well, based on what you've said already, I'm sure you do.
Well, I know for a fact he is, guys. I know what cell he's in. I know for a fact he's incarcerated.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Good stuff. A lot of good questions.
Lucy made a good point, Lee. I don't know if you saw that. You back there, it said, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
She said, let me find the damn thing. The statement makes a lot of sense. Where the hell did you go, Lucy? Where did I just saw it. Anyway, she said, first and foremost, we know how many lies have been told via the government in Latah County and the police department and all that stuff, okay? And then going forward with that, she said that she believes that the truth may be in the lies.
Yeah.
Which is, think about the way she says that, though. That's an interesting point. Where the hell did it go? I can't find it now for you to pull it up. It's fine if BK wants to say that he's the guy, but it didn't happen the way the state's factual basis claims so. Why is everyone lying? That was part of it too. That's another thing. That's huge. Anyway, what I just said is what you said, and I think that's a good point. There it is. Thank you. That's why I'm wholly convinced the fastest way to the truth is through the lies. Think about that for a minute, you guys. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things, to go along with that, one of the statements that is a famous statement is the best lies are based on some form of truth. So when you hear what you know is a lie, it's usually based on something that's true. It makes it easier to keep your lie straight if there's some truth to it.
Every lie has some truth to it,
right?
Yeah.
And so if you know how to read the tea leaves, then you can see the lies and go, I bet you the reason why you're saying that is it's really this. But can you prove that at the end of the day? No, you can't prove it. You're just, it's just one of those gut instincts. Like I can see where you what you actually probably know based on the lie that you're giving. But
yeah. A lot of absolutely.
And somebody did reach out to me, and I saw it here in the chat too, and they had a great point. They said, well, the FBI must have had something because Brian caves so fast. And I kind of thought back to myself, I've presented many a times throughout the entirety of this case. I always felt like the FBI was the actual leader of the case, and then Moscow, Idaho, and everybody else involved was just kind of puttering along to try to make it, hey, look at over here. This is the actual case, when the FBI was breaking every rule, everything that they could over there, and they had a case. But now, that's a sad thing, and that's the hardest thing to accept. When Brian Koberger took this plea, evidence no longer matters. And I'm not saying that like that's a great thing, because it's not a good thing, because you can never get the answers you need to fully understand that this case maybe legitimately was solved because it was never answered. But I think in a situation like this, the best way to resolve this problem is, even if someone does take a plea bargain in a high profile death penalty case, the prosecution still has to put on their case in front of a jury. Even if it's just no defendant there, it's already sealed, he's already found guilty, it's moving on. That prosecutor still has to be able to step up and show reasonable doubt. You still have to prove it. Give us your case, give us the evidence, give us what you got. Otherwise, maybe we got to pull this plea and actually release this guy. Maybe he's not guilty. If you can't prove it, maybe he's not guilty. And in this case, I mean, it's a showcase. Man, it's just the oddest thing in the world. No evidence that could really even prove someone like me. I'm one that looks at, like, a criminal is a criminal. And if they got you, they got you. And if you pled guilty, they got you. It's got to be something. And I'm shaking my head going, I don't see nothing. I don't see anything. I see a kid that literally just said he did it. That's it. That's what I see. And if you can't prove that, that's pretty sickening to everybody in your community that wants to know what happened. Moscow, Idaho deserves to know what the hell happened in their community. But
you literally have a defense attorney who interviewed the Gonzalez's at CrimeCon saying, well, the truth is people don't plead guilty to things they didn't do, especially not for murders. So that was a defense attorney's literal words out of his mouth. People don't plead guilty to things they didn't do, especially for murders. So he has to be guilty. And I think it's the most asinine thing a lawyer could say.
Yeah, especially a defense attorney.
I mean, I struggle with it, Lee. I struggle with it, and I understand people's frustrations. Do innocent people plead guilty? Yes, they do. They do. I never have. Trust me, I tried to run from everything I did. I was never going to say I was guilty, and unless I was. So, but people do. I've been incarcerated. People that do. I've never been incarcerated with somebody that took 4 life sentences that said they did it, or maybe they did. I don't know. Nobody ever spoke to me in that way. But, it's just something rattled somewhere in Brian's head to even accept that plea agreement.
Yeah.
And coming from a criminal's background, from where I've had to contemplate on whether I wanted to risk it, go to trial, or not risk it, a lot of things like, where am I going right now with the case? Do I feel confident that I have a chance? And if I don't feel like I have a chance, why is that? What is it that gives me the feeling I don't have a chance? And if I put myself into Brian Koberger's position, the judge would give me the feeling I have no chance. Hippler, if I had to go in front of Hippler, I'd be pleading guilty to get the lowest amount of time I could, because that guy would destroy me. And I think that he was doing everything to defense to destroy them possible. And I think Brian Koberger felt every minute of that. He sure as hell did when I was in the courtroom with him. When I sat behind him in the courtroom and I watched what happened in that courtroom, that entire defense team felt the brunt of everything Hippler was saying. And it wasn't fun to watch. As an ex-criminal, I was like, damn, like, seriously? Not one thing went in Koberger's way. Not one thing. Even me, guilty as hell in all my cases, I had something going my way, and Koberger didn't.
Do you think his parents may have been threatened, AR, possibly?
That, that's a reach, because, the thing about it is, if that's the case, they have their, their protective attorneys behind the scenes.
Right.
They have ways that they can utilize that and still be protected. I mean, in this case, how can I say that it's impossible? I think in this case, anything's possible.
It is.
If you're a quadruple homicide of college kid suspect, your parents are probably being attacked on a daily basis, verbally, through email, phone calls. Anytime you go to the store, you can't live a normal life. So is there potential that it could go to a next level? I would think so. I would think it's possible. I'm not going to say it's not. My parents were threatened, and they didn't even talk to me in half of the times I actually committed crimes. And my parents took more punishment than I did. So I would 100% believe Brian Koberger's parents were shredded apart. I mean, look at Steve Gonzalez talking about their flight schedules.
Right.
And how that could potentially be a part of the crime. They helped Brian. They knew he did it. They got him out of town. Come on, people. Really? Those are two good people.
Yeah. And
Those
to
are two
answer,
good people.
I agree. His family, I think he comes from a very good family, in my opinion. To answer Miss Girl's question, yeah, he did say in that email why BK took the plea. He said they forced it. So I said that the defense forced the plea. If I remember correctly, in fact, I can go back to that point and look at it again real quick.
No, that's exactly what he said. Is the defense put enough pressure on the prosecution's case? They forced the hand of the prosecution to go ahead and fall into line with the plea bargain. Guys, if this case was rock solid for a death penalty case, and you're gonna risk it all to go to trial for death penalty, the prosecution should never be put in a box to have to plea bargain.
Agreed.
Lee, do you agree with that? I know you're up there. You're quiet, Lee. You got to get it. You talk 100 miles an hour, and now you're silent. Get in here, man.
I'm showing respect, man. I'm letting you do some talking tonight. I talk every night. I mean, yeah. I feel just like you said. They meaning if that email is correct, Cy Ray said that they forced the prosecution in. And what does that mean? That means to me, what they convinced the prosecution is, you may lose this case if it goes to trial, which to me means you're, in my opinion, Ann Taylor's not working in the best interest of her client, unless her client specifically said, do anything you can to get the death penalty taken off. And so that was in his best interest. But in his best interest isn't saying, hey, by the way, you're going to lose this case, so you better take some kind of plea deal because you're going to lose. How is that in her client's best interest? Going to trial and letting them lose would be in her client's best interest. But instead, it's like, hey, you're going to lose this. We should settle now. The only way that makes sense, if it's in your client's best interest, is Koberger asked her, please get death penalty taken off the table at all costs. And the only thing I can think of as to the reason why that could happen is and I said it a long time ago, if his mother said, if he loves his mother, which I believe he does, and if his mother was pleading, don't let them kill my son. If you take the plea deal, at least I can talk to you and we'll have a communication and it'll be better than nothing. But if you go to that trial and they convict you, they're going to kill you and I'm going to lose my son. And so did that touch him? And did he say, you know what, for you, Mom, I'd rather spend the rest of my life in jail than run the risk of them killing your son because he didn't want to see his mom lose. Is that a possibility? If he thought that was the way it was going to go, they're going to kill me if I go to trial. So I'll take the plea deal and at least we'll have something.
Right. And to fully answer your question, Mitch Girl, he said in the email, it is completely possible for both scenarios to exist here. Brian being guilty and the investigation being corrupted. And this is why there was a plea. The state knew what was coming in court and knew that it would not go well for them. We forced them to offer the plea, which is a way injustice, which in a way is justice. And then he goes on to say Brian is where he needs to be and the investigators can be held responsible now. I can't get into all the details, but trust me when I say I am far from being done on this case. Not only will certain actors be held accountable, this will be a great learning lesson for law enforcement to learn from and do better. So
quickly to make a point, and I'm sure you guys will hopefully agree, that's a cop-out, man. If you knowledgeably know that something is corrupted, if an investigation is a corrupt investigation, okay, I get it. That doesn't mean someone's absolutely innocent of actually committing the crime. But I'm sorry, you can't prosecute them. You can't do that. If you illegally arrest somebody based upon a corrupted investigation, how can you look at that investigation and pick out any point of that was a legitimate part of the investigation that led to factual evidence when everything is deemed corruptive? In my opinion, this is my opinion. If I lie to you about one thing in a paragraph of, we're talking about just a simple subject, going out to dinner, and I lied to you about going out to dinner. 99% of what I tell you is true, but I lied to you about one simple thing. How is anything about what I said true?
It doesn't make sense. It's not.
Because you're still going to think in your mind, well, damn, dude, you lied. That's what you're going to notice.
Yeah.
So in an investigation, from what I've experienced, and look, I want to do a video about a time. I mean, it's kind of a scary video to do because it does involve my wife in the video, but I was charged with forging checks and cashing them at the bank. However, the investigation never saw me with the checks, and I was not the one cashing anything at the banks, and they had all the videos. Yet I'm the one that got pushed into the plea bargain to go do prison time. And the very person on the videos cashing the checks never even got interviewed. Now,
that's interesting.
Imagine the documentation the officers had to present in discovery of that. And how does any of that line up to me being guilty of cashing forged checks when you have every check that was cashed, video of it, and I'm not the one at the teller cashing it, yet I'm the one that signed the plea bargain and went and did 7 years on the case?
How does that work out?
And how should the investigation and the prosecutors all answer questions about that one? Yet nobody will ever push that issue, right? So that gives me the idea of Cy Ray's calling a corruptness within the investigation. It makes me think back into mine. Well, how could any part of the investigation be right or real then?
Exactly.
One piece of corruption throws the case out the window.
And I don't know what Cy Ray expects us to do. Like, I agree with the concept the ends does not justify the means.
Yeah.
But if his opinion really is, and I have to keep saying if, because I keep going by third-party information. I haven't seen it myself. I need to see it myself. But if it was legit, then his attitude is he totally did it. He's where he belongs. And I believe that if he gets out, he's going to kill again. So therefore, you basically are saying the ends do justify the means. Like, I still want people held accountable, but he should stay right where the fuck where he is, even though they did it wrong. And he wants to have his cake and eat it too. He wants Kohberger to stay in jail where he's at because he is the killer and he will kill again. But he wants other people to be held accountable. And I don't know how you do it both. Because if they determine that somebody did something illegal in the prosecution, that runs the risk of having him freed or have a retrial. So if he thinks he needs to be where he's at, what is he doing? Like, what is his end game?
Well,
Does that
and
make
the other
any-
thing to
does that
that
make
is
any
this.
sense?
The other thing to that is this. If the prosecution did something illegal, why the fuck are they still out there prosecuting more cases? Why isn't Cy doing something about that, Mr. Cy Ray?
Well, I mean, it's one of the, okay, here's one time I'll poke Cy Ray, and you're not willing to come out and actually speak about it?
Right.
You're not going to share exactly what you're talking about when it comes to Idaho for a case of Brian Kohberger?
Great point, because here's something that even Dr. Turvey said. An NDA, a non-disclosure agreement, does not require you to keep illegal activity secret. You can't sign an NDA that says, hey, whatever happens next, you can't talk about, and then wait somebody in front of them and say, oh, I can't talk about it. It's an NDA. NDAs do not cover illegal behavior. So Cy Ray isn't bound by a fucking NDA if he really believes they did something illegal. He can talk about it and break the NDA because it's not break. You can't make somebody sign an NDA that covers illegal behavior.
Actually, he's expected to talk about it, Lee. It's almost like the mandated reporter situation. If you know that something is going on and you're a specific person, you're mandated to report that in certain situations. I mean, truly and honestly, if you know that there were illegal things done in this investigation, it's your job to stand up and say, yo, this happened and this is who was involved in it, and you're not doing it. And I'm sorry, but it's bullshit to me, because the reason why I believe he's doing it is because he's not going to be able to sell himself to the world if he's turning on what looks like he's turning on his own people, per se. Okay. He wants you to buy his plan that is the best way to run an investigation at this point. That's what he's selling with this book and everything else he's doing. but he's not willing to open his mouth and point to the people that are doing the things wrong. That's a problem for me.
You, Dago, is law enforcement. And yes, he wants to get his training manuals and his hard work out there for others to
Right.
utilize. I get that.
Yeah.
Law enforcement is supposed to catch and investigate the corrupt, the illegal activities of others. They're supposed to protect society from the downfalls of illegal activity. So who is he actually protecting here? Law enforcement, who he clearly states corrupted a case, meaning illegal activity. So we're going to protect that. But in a sense, we're still going to sit behind all the fences and protect ourselves and say, but Brian Koberger is guilty. We just forced the hand that he got a plea deal, saving his life. He's guilty. But law enforcement, we're going to shove that under the mat and we're going to teach you why you shouldn't do these things. No, no.
I'm going to say the most critical thing about Cyre. I'm going to say the most critical thing I think he's doing. If I was going to say the most critical thing I can say, and a guess, he's defending his software and his career. He doesn't want to be perceived as the conspiracy theory that Hitler told him he was. So he's going to I'm going to prove to you what I said was correct because I'm going to go on as selling this software. I'm going to go on being an expert. I'm going to write textbooks about it. So I can't go on the record of I was full of shit. I'm going to prove to you I was right about what I said. It's more about defending his future, his software and his expert testimony, because he's been labeled a conspiracy theorist. So now his ego is on the line and his reputation is on the line. He has to prove everybody I was right on what I said.
Well, and also remember this. This isn't the first time, guys. It happened to him in another state where he got knocked down on a pedestal too.
Yeah.
The first time.
Yeah, but what he's saying though, that's what pisses me off, is he's coming out and saying it's systemic failure. It's not though. It's people making bad choices is what it is, okay? They're doing it. They have the ability to say yay or nay to what they're doing, and they're doing what they're doing. And he knows that, what he's saying, and he can point to who's doing it, but he's not doing that. That's the problem right there. Because he wants to make sure that he sells his plan first, or his whatever the hell this is that he's doing. He's got to make sure he sells that, and he's worried that if he does this, then it won't sell. I don't care what you're selling. Do the right thing, bro. End of story.
Right.
That's it.
Sadly, people's lives are on the line, and those lives should be valued a little more than a $95 textbook.
Thank you.
The gentleman has every opportunity. A salesman always has the opportunity to sell something in life. You just always have that opportunity.
There's other ways he could do it, yes.
Yeah. I mean, he could literally write a book and sell it just by being a salesperson. But if you take an oath to go up and defend Brian Koberger and present evidence that the investigation against him does not add up appropriately, you cannot tuck your tail at that point and run from that. You have to at least step in front of the very people that heard and listened to you get called a conspiracy theorist and lay out what you were discussing, what you meant by what you were saying. Lay out your facts so that we can make a decision on whether you're trustworthy moving forward. Because I've learned this lesson in life, guys. The first time I lied to you, you might give me a second chance. The second time I lied to you, it's going to take you a long time before you'll even hear me again to give myself a chance to lie to you again. Because in your mind, I've already done it twice. I'm sorry when someone comes to the plate and says, hey, I'm telling you this investigation is bogus. And this is what we've been discussing for 3 years. All three of us right here on this panel, including Robin, 4 of us, we have pointed at this investigation and said it's wrong. It's corrupt. It's absolutely wrong. This man comes out and clearly says that, but doesn't back it up.
Right. That's what you can't tell somebody, there's yellow snow outside, and then expect them to just believe you when you walk in. Don't step in the yellow snow. It's right outside the door. But then when they walk outside, there's no yellow. Prove it to them. Show it to them. I know that was a dumb thing to say, but the point, you guys know what I'm trying to say with that, though. Just, okay, you're not going to make the statements you're going to make. And nobody should ever make these kinds of statements, okay, without making that proof positive. You know, it's right there. Here it is. You can't turn about face after you make statements like this. The affidavit that he made when he put that in there was so big, guys. That was huge. That everybody froze right then and there and said, "Whoa." In 30 plus years, I've never seen so much misinformation put out to the world or from the prosecution. And in my opinion, it was done on purpose. It was not an accident, which tells me there's something much, much larger going on here. You can't make that statement and then turn about face and walk away from it.
No.
I'm sorry. You just
Stand
can't
up
do
for
that.
your affidavit.
Yes.
You signed
Absolutely.
a legal document stating all these things that you, in your 30 years of experience in this field, believe.
I've never seen anything
You
like
wrote
that,
the
yeah.
software and all this other stuff. So stand behind your statement.
Yes. That's
I
all
wanna
you got to
know
do.
if he's scared to talk about it now, if he's scared to present his facts of how he got to where he got to say those things, what the hell was he going to do if this went to trial and he had to take the stand and testify?
Right.
Then what?
Were you going to back out of it? Or was somebody going to go approach him?
Do you realize you were going to hurt some of your buddies' feelings, you know, by taking that stand and pointing out the stuff that you found wrong? Because you know some of these people he's talking about, he's probably pretty close with. I'm sure he's worked directly with some of these people. So you can do it at trial for all to see, but you can't just give a little hint to your evidence of what you're talking about. That would settle a lot of our feelings if he would come to the plate and say, look, I find Brian Koberger to be guilty because of X, Y, and Z. This is what I'm upset about the investigation. Even though they still would have got to Brian this way, this is their lack of proper work here. Then we could start putting pieces together to where we could say, okay, look, I get it. This evidence does kind of look shady for Brian. I get it. But this is where they went through loopholes. This is where they lied. It's all on the table. Everybody can see it. It's all right here. It's plain as day. But for you to come tell me someone's guilty and then not give me the reason as to why, me being guilty numerous times in my life, knowing why, I know there has to be a why. There has to be.
Agreed.
Or else you're not guilty. If there's not a why, you're not guilty.
This is what I don't understand about any of it. And then for him to jump on the wagon with there's mental health issues at hand here that need to be addressed. That was way out of line for him, in my opinion. He should have never went there with that, but he did again. I don't understand any of that. I don't get it. And I don't quite understand. It kind of reminds me of, I know you guys remember Gabriela Vargas and you remember what happened with her. I'm sure you remember that. So it reminds me a little bit of that situation. I'm not saying that somebody threatened Cy, but all I'm saying is it gives me that same feel, if that makes any sense to anybody.
Well, let me ask you guys, is money a threat?
Of course it is.
Yeah, if you lose money, that's a pretty big threat, isn't it?
It absolutely is.
You know,
I'll be right back, guys.
You're in the midst of writing a training manual and you're in the midst of all this trying to push your new company. Loss of money hurts.
Yeah.
It hurts bad. That's a threat.
Yeah. And, you know, I don't know how much money he stands to make, but does he stand to make significant money by hinting with an interview that, hey, you're going to have to read my book if you want to understand this more? Like, is it just a promotional is going on any show just simply I'm going to tell you the bare minimums and then say, well, it's in my book. You know, it's in my book. You're gonna need to buy the book to get that answer. And is it worth his reputation to try to get a few extra copies at $95 a pop? Because not a lot of people are going to buy a $95 book to get a couple of chapters that might mention the case peripherally about things that he's not allowed to talk about. So you're not going to have much in there. But that's what it feels like he's trying to do. Like, buy some copies of this book at $95 a pop, even though it's not really even about Koberger. I just put some lines in there, but I'll read the book.
This is more than the book, though. This goes way deeper than that. For Cy Ray, this is future money, future investigation, expert testimony. You know, anything that these things could lead to is where he's trying to really protect that. You know, you got to protect what the future could hold for you, because money right now is always nice. Like if I could sell some artwork right now, that's great. Am I going to sell enough artwork right now to substantiate myself for the rest of my life, my wife, my kids, my whatever might be? Or do I set myself in a position where I'll be hired as an expert for the next 20 years and people will endeavor into any future work I do? That to me tells me the actual threat isn't so much, what the loss of book sales or that. It's the credibility of the future that he could potentially lose. And that's through his connections in law enforcement, because to me, that's where it feels like that's where his future is. Can he get law enforcement agencies to utilize what he has to offer? Will they utilize his training? Will they utilize all these various things? And that's going to substantiate him further into life. But this is a really stupid way of like projecting that. But me as a criminal, if I project myself as a successful criminal, other criminals could potentially rely on me to help me or help them accomplish what they're trying to accomplish. And they pay me a percentage of whatever they get out of whatever they do. So I could substantiate my future as not having to go commit criminal acts by teaching others how to better commit their criminal acts. And they pay me for that through the years. And him in law enforcement's the same thing. If I teach you now how to better what you do, I want a residual through the years that you're going to continuously come back for my expertise.
You're muted.
I say real quick. Yeah, thank God. That guy has nothing fucking good to say. Angel Heart 7926. Thank you so much for gifting 10 memberships. That's amazing. Thank you. That's a lot. Thank you a lot for that. I want to add one real quick comment while that's on the screen or whatever. But and that is it may be a small thing to consider, but I believe in considering all of these motivations. Defense experts get paid more money than prosecution experts. Just give that a thought as well, by the way. Prosecution experts are often government employees. They work at government salaries. They're already getting paid by some kind of government kind of thing, and it's not that great. Defense teams pay big money, oftentimes twice as much for an expert to come in and testify on behalf of the defense. Is there any motivation as well that getting hired more for defense teams means more lucrative job opportunities?
I don't know, because I did this pro bono. This was
and if he did it pro bono, right?
He did this one.
He did this.
That doesn't mean that he wouldn't go on to do others for money.
Right. Now, defense teams understand that Cy Ray can have an even keel and go both ways depending on the evidence. So now people will reach out to Cy Ray and say, "Hey, can you take a look at this, please?" Mm-hmm. Whereas if he had never, I'm telling you now, if he had never done anything with the Idaho 4 case, half of us still would have no idea who the hell he was. Right. The only reason why I know who Cy Ray is because he worked heart and soul in Arizona on many task force, and that's where I was arrested many times. So I had heard the name through other cases. Didn't know of him. He didn't work on my cases, but I knew I had heard that name. I would have never projected him to come into the Idaho 4 case. Like I would have never thought that was possible. But now because he has, it's now more possible he can come into other cases if he draws that fine line and doesn't shell himself out of that capability. And we're going to see how this plays out because I mean the future relies on it. But
yeah, and I don't want to take anything away from pro bono work, but I want people to understand. I think all lawyers are required to do a certain number of pro bono hours as part of their bar association thing. That's one thing. Also, attorneys often take a pro bono case because it's how you, on a high profile case, it's how everybody knows your name. So some people will take the pro bono case because it hits two things at one time. I have to do so many hours of pro bono work every single year. And if I get my name on a high profile case, everybody knows who I am. So it's not necessarily all altruistic. Hey, I just want to do the right thing. I'm going to come in here work for free. There's often an ulterior motive, which meets a couple of different things. So I don't know what his motives were. Maybe he really did, for the first time in his life, just decide, I'm doing this for free because I just think it's the right thing. Or it could be a calculated move of, everybody's going to know my name after this one because I'm in the Kohberger case.
Well, kind of a ha-ha. I did a lot of pro bono criminal activity in my life too. I was just trying to get my name out there with, a few documents.
That's awesome.
And I don't know. I'm probably the one person that's on the panel right now that says Brian Kohberger is where he is. Brian Kohberger made that decision to do that. I don't understand why he did it, but he did it. And I'm also the one that I just feel like there's not an appeal opportunity up his sleeve. I don't know why I have that feeling, but that's the feeling I have. And I'm not disrespecting you guys. I absolutely listen to everything you guys have to say. I just struggle with the fact I know how hard an appeal is to even get heard. And then even when it is heard, now you got to get a judge that's willing to rule in your favor on it.
Right.
I know the struggles of that. And, does Brian know the struggles of that? We're going to find out, obviously.
Well, he was allegedly reading books on it in his apartment based on the books that were on his floor. Why people plead guilty to things they didn't do. How the system overcharges people. He's well versed in it.
Yeah. I mean, I just don't want people to look at me like I'm going back and forth, swaying on what I have to say. Factually, through evidence, I don't think Brian Kohberger was proven beyond a reasonable doubt as a guilty individual of this crime. I don't feel as though the trial would have gone as smoothly for the prosecution as many feel as though it would. I know circumstantial evidence carries weight. I don't think it's substantial in this case enough to have convicted Brian Kohberger with no issues, no hiccups.
So
I, however, have a problem when I watch Brian Kohberger with my own two eyes, out of the shock of it, step to the plate and take a plea bargain. And I remember this quite well because I was doing a live literally the very next day with Lucky, our good friend, Unfiltered Lucky. I had a live with him the very next day. And I exploded on that live about how disappointed in Brian I was. And literally I lost about 2,000 subs. I lost Lucky some money in his live. I mean, him and I had a discussion that we had to put it on hold for a while because I was so disappointed that literally the plea bargain took place and I didn't understand it, that I just jumped ship. But I want people to understand that evidence-wise, I don't see the connection or the guilt.
So let me ask you real quick then, since you said that. Do you think, I guess I should say, in your heart of hearts, do you think Brian Kohberger did this?
I think he absolutely had a part in it. I don't know what the part is. I've lost a lot of nights of sleep because, as you guys know, we've been covering this a long period of time. I don't know if he's just the driver and he dropped somebody off and picked him back up. The cop said, we're looking for a white Elantra with occupants in the car. Okay. You're looking for the getaway car from a quadruple homicide with occupants. That rings a bell in my head. Like, you would have just said, we're looking for the individual driving a white Hyundai Elantra at this time. And you wouldn't have put out a stock photo. You would have put out the actual photo of the damn car.
No, he actually said, we want to speak to the occupants of that vehicle with the S on the end of it. So, yeah.
Yeah. There was occupants within that. I don't know who the occupants of this case are, and I have a huge bone to pick because I did watch content today from Mr. Pav in regards to Native Americans interacting and being a part of white prison gangs. And look, guys, I've been deep down in this. Like, I know what's real and what's not real. And when I hear occupants in a cop statement to the people, they're looking for people, not a person.
Yeah.
And Brian comes across to me as not social, not having a lot of friends. So was he a driver? Is that somebody you call after the fact and say, hey, dude, bring some of those cleaning supplies. We'll give you $1,000.
Right. And I made a big point that if Kohberger's car is the car you see leaving at 4:20 and arriving a little bit before that 4:07, I made a big argument. That driver, in my opinion, never got out of the car. He parked behind there and he waited till somebody came out of the house and got on. The driver didn't get out. And I base that on no dogs bark until somebody leaves at 4:17. He arrived at 4:07, the car supposedly. If that really is the car arriving and they didn't fuck with the timestamps, the car parks back there and waits to pick somebody up. He didn't get out of the car. The dog didn't bark until somebody left the sliding glass door at around 4:17. That's when the dog goes nuts. That's when he gets in the car and that's when they speed off. The driver showed up and never got out of the car, in my opinion, based on what I would theorize. So yeah, is there a scenario in my mind Kohberger was the getaway driver or whatever, and that's why law enforcement knows he's involved in the crime, and they went, fuck it, we can't get everybody else, but we can at least get the driver because we know he was there. He may not have gone into the house, but he may have been involved. I don't know.
But that too also gives me my only reasoning as to why he would have pled out. And it also gives me the only reasoning as to why the prosecution would offer anything less than the death penalty in this case for the one suspect that committed the crime. You don't lessen the death penalty. You don't give life. That's death penalty crime. This is one of the worst crimes. And if you've got the guy, you don't plea him out.
My problem with that whole thing, you guys, is the fact that even if he drove, there was no DNA found in that car. None.
Well, so I want to backpedal that just a moment. I said I was going to get off the fucking thing early tonight. No,
I screwed this up. I'm sorry.
Right. God dang it. Anyways, so I want to back that up just a hair. Remember, one thing that I want to keep in mind, they didn't look for certain DNA. They were only looking for certain DNA. So they didn't look for alternative suspects. They wouldn't have looked for their DNA. So a person could have been in the car and their DNA could be in the car, but they didn't look for that. They only had one theory. Brian Kohberger is the guy. So they're looking for Kohberger's DNA and they're looking for the victim's DNA. What we don't know, again, the whole idea is that the killings took place between 4:07 and 4:20 when the car stops at the back and when it leaves at 4:20. That doesn't mean, if that was the getaway driver, that the killings didn't happen for hours, that the killer didn't have time to shower and scrub, done all kinds of things. They could have desanitized, done all kinds of things inside the house and gotten in clean to the vehicle with Kohberger. And again, no one's testing Kohberger's car for an alternate suspect. They're only testing for the DNA of the victims. And if he had time, because it didn't happen in 16 minutes, then they could have had cleanup and they could have cleaned up and somebody could have got, and who knows, like it could have been a lookout that got picked up. I mean, it may not have even been one of the killers. It could have been somebody that was clean, that just was part of the crime scene and was watching and got picked up. I mean, there's a lot of scenarios in which the person could have picked somebody up and not transferred anybody's DNA into the car if they had time. Again, if you do it in the window, there's no way. I don't think you get into a bloodbath situation and have time clean so good that you're not tracking DNA into the car. But I think there was time for a cleanup. I think it didn't happen in the 4:07 to 4:20 window. That's another theory of mine.
You also got to think too. Let's just say Brian Kohberger was the car, the driver, not the actual committer, but the driver. Nobody's saying in that sense that he drove the people away from the scene. He's still guilty if he dropped them off at the scene.
Yeah.
That means that nobody got back in the car. They left some other way. I
don't
can't
think.
tell you.
Yeah.
Like, here's
I don't
the
think the
reason
car was
why
involved.
we're never going to get the right answers, and there's very simplicity as to why. Nobody's ever going to tell us the motive. Nobody's ever going to be honest about motive. They've got some inkling of why this happened. They're not telling us. We're never going to know. Because if somebody could tell me a motive, I could tell you directly whether Brian did it or not. If you tell me it's X, Y, and Z of a motive and X, Y, and Z doesn't lead to Brian Kohberger, he's innocent. He's gone. He's off. He's out. I mean, the motive, it's huge. And in crime, I'll argue with anybody. I don't give a damn whether you're law enforcement, whether you're a criminal. I don't care what you are. I'll argue with any of you. Every crime committed has a motive. Every single crime has a motive. And I'll also lead it by saying this. Every single crime committed has a lead up to that crime. There is something you can substantiate prior to the crime happening that leads you to that crime.
Yeah.
Even if it's 20 minutes prior, people say, oh, spur of the moment crimes happen all the time. They happen all the time. Oh, there was something that led to that spur of the moment crime. I guarantee it.
Yeah.
Guaranteed.
See,
I
agree.
never broke into a house. I never went to steal something until I was broke enough to need to go steal it.
Yeah, right, right. That's how it always works with everything. That's a fact.
Yeah.
I
What was
wanna
the
say
triggering event? Yeah.
Right.
everything has a trigger, yeah. The biggest problem I have with, and I respect everybody that feels like, Brian had some involvement. Everybody that knows me knows I feel he had nothing to do with it at all, but what I wanna say, though, is that car, the whole thing about him being a driver, this and that, everything else, he knows some parts of the law. We all know that, okay? So here's my thing. If he was, say, for instance, just a driver, knowing that a death penalty was on the table with this, I would imagine that he would have stepped up and said, "Hey, I just drove the car. They asked me to take them there. I had no idea what the hell they were doing. I did it, and I left." Why wouldn't somebody that was in that situation take that step? That's my biggest issue with
Well,
something like
here's
that.
the question I have to go with that, Dago. One, we don't know that he didn't do that with his lawyers. We don't know
Oh, that's
that.
true too. That's true
But
too.
another thing I want to know is, when did the discussion literally happen between Brian Koberger and the defense team of a possibility of a plea agreement? When
Yes.
did that initiate?
Right.
When did we start having conversation? Brian, this isn't looking good for you. We're trying all these avenues that we try. And I hate to say this, Ann Taylor utilizes a lot of the same techniques in a lot of her cases. She files the same motions. It
Well,
gets a little old, gets a little monotonous.
We heard Hitler say, "I need your last best offer." I think it was the end of May, beginning of June. I think. Don't quote me on the date. So at least at that point, that was coming at that point, and we did get information going forward now that there was that it came from the prosecution side, not the defense side. So when he made that statement about that, the prosecution obviously came forward with what they had, probably because they knew they didn't have a case, and bing, bang, boom. But, we weren't there, so I don't know how it actually went down. That's just my guess, I'm saying. So
I have a gut
could have been
feeling
sooner.
within me. The discussions of a plea agreement had to come right about the time that the suppression of evidence hearings failed, and then the motion in limine hearings was just cake, icing on top of that cake.
Yeah.
Everything was tumbling downhill. You could see a major difference in the courtroom. When I was in the courtroom, Ann Taylor was just rattled. Bicka Barlow was just in another world. Massoff and Brian Koberger had a great relationship. I've discussed that numerous times. They were heavily talking back and forth. They seemed to be in okay spirit. She did most of the arguing on that day, because Ann Taylor, every time she stepped to the podium, got blasted and blown up, and it was just like her mom had just died. All that shit hit the fan. And literally the very next hearing that they went into was in regards to the alternative perps, and they conceded. They conceded that, and then we hear of a plea agreement. So the discussion, I just want to know, just come out. Just somebody come out and just say it from the defense team. Just be like, look, we were really fighting the fight. It was an uphill battle. We all got our minds together. We discussed it with our client. We led him, to see what trial would entail. We let him know this plea agreement could possibly save us from this. And we laid it all out for him, told him, go take 72 hours, think about this, come back and give us your feelings, and we'll discuss it some more. And I want to know, because I've been through the process, when you're facing substantial time and the discussion begins with the lawyers, and typically it's always a clientele asking, have they offered anything? Where are we sitting right now? What are you thinking? What's the next move? What are we planning? I've been sitting here for 3 years in jail right now. We're coming up on trial. What more are we doing? Where are we going from here?
One of the things that, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, that's fine. Sorry.
Well, one of the things that bothers Bill Thompson has done plenty of interviews since this is done. He goes on. He's had several. Nothing from Ann Taylor. Nothing. Bill Thompson feels free to talk about the case after it's over, but Ann, nothing. And it means one of two things for me. Either Brent Turvey was onto something when Ann Taylor, when he talked about a private conversation they had where she's like, what do you want me to do? I've been at this for 3 years. I've got other things to do. She literally just kind of threw her hands up like, I've got other shit to do. So she either literally is like, I want to wash my hands of this. I'm done. And so that's why she's not talking about it anymore, because she's moved on and she's busy with something else. Or she is working for him and she's not saying anything because anything she says can jeopardize his upcoming appeals or motions or whatever. So I'd like to think that Ann is still out there quietly. And the reason why we're not hearing anything about her is because she's working for him. But it feels like it's I don't give a shit anymore and I'm not going to talk to anybody about it.
Well, Moonlit Baby just said something in chat too that kind of goes along with that. I find interesting. And I remember this being said, that Ann had mentioned that Brian was no longer helping within his defense at that point anymore either. And I'm real curious what she meant by that. Like, exactly. You know what I mean? What was he not doing?
The wording that I remember her saying, and it may not be the same wording. The wording, I remember Ann Taylor saying it. She said it was difficult. They were having difficulties getting Brian Kohberger to assist with his own defense.
Right. There you go.
So she didn't say he wasn't assisting. They're just saying it was difficult for them to get him to assist with his own defense, which indicates it could be anything. It could be, if he had a condition, right? Maybe he just didn't know how to tell them what they wanted to hear, kind of thing. It wasn't clear. She didn't say he was stonewalling. She just said it was difficult for us to even get Kohberger to participate in his defense. But what that means exactly, I'm not sure.
That's I agree with you.
I could possibly add a little bit to that. When a person it's difficult to aid in your own defense. And it doesn't always mean like I'm incapable or I'm not like brain savvy enough to be able to do it. Sometimes when you're a first-time criminal, you got to remember, this is Brian Kohberger's first ever felony accusations, and these are of the highest level. He mentally kind of shuts down. He's been sitting in jail for almost 3 years.
Yeah.
He's tired. He's worn down. His mom bawls her eyes out every single night, and he listens to that while he's talking to her on the phone. He's in shambles. So when the defense team starts bringing to the table, okay, this is the next thing we got to try. This is what you just kind of look at him and say, you do whatever you got to do. Like, I can't do this anymore. Just pick me up and take my ass to court when it's time for court. Like,
And the other part of that equation, though, is Brian is neurodivergent.
Right.
And I don't believe if you have to get someone in there who can talk to, people on the spectrum like Brian is, if that's what you need to do as his lawyer, then that's what you need to do so that he can aid in his defense. Because he's not stupid. He's neurodivergent. There's a difference.
And there's a problem with that, Robin, and I'll give you what that problem is. So let's say Brian Kohberger and his defense team are going to meet at the jail for a law meeting, and they're going to go over things. They're going to go over evidence. Nobody else is allowed in there. Nobody. It doesn't matter what your medical condition is. You can meet with your lawyers and your lawyers only. Now, they can go out of the room and go meet with other people, but those other people can't come meet with you unless it's state approved. Yeah. So the state can have some psychologist or psychiatric help come evaluate you, but they cannot help you in your case or your defense.
No,
right. And Hippler was already making rulings about the mental health issue. He was already making rulings about the.
But what I'm saying is, she could ask advice from a psychologist as far as how do I reach Brian? How can I present this in a way that will make him become a little bit more engaged with me in order for me to help him?
But
now, whether he did that or not, nobody knows.
Brian could have also taken offense to something that happened earlier and just said, what do you think? I'm stupid? Blah, blah. And it's like, look, I don't think you're stupid. I just don't think you're quite comprehending exactly what I'm trying to tell you. Stupidity doesn't block you all the time or be the full out reason why you don't understand something. I don't consider myself to be stupid. I just know some things are way above my actual understanding level, and I need other people to break it down to ABC for me so that I get what you're trying to say.
Right.
For all we
Emotion can
know,
play into that.
yeah, right. For all we know, Brian could have been arguing with her about what he thought was a better idea for something.
Right. I mean, he was a
You know?
criminology, he was a PhD candidate.
Right.
It's possible he had a perfect idea how it should go, and she wasn't listening.
Yes.
He's like, well, shit, my fucking attorney's dumb. Like, maybe he was thinking she's dumb. Like,
Exactly.
you're really okay, whatever.
What if Brian wrote a couple of motions he wanted submitted to the court and Ann Taylor wouldn't do it?
Exactly.
Yeah. Brian
That's my
said,
point.
hey, I know just as much as you do. You do understand, like, I'm going for my master's, PhD, and I don't feel like I'm stupid here. And I feel like I know my own case just as well as you do. And I have something I want to say, and I'm motioning to the court because, yes, guys, you can write to the judge yourself, but guess what? It's got to go through your lawyer, because if it doesn't, he's going to throw it away. It has to go through your lawyer. And Ann Taylor might be like, this isn't within our game plan. This isn't what we're trying to do. And Brian says, the hell with you. Like, I want this brought to his attention.
Yeah.
And he might have wrote a note saying, Judge Hippler is a complete asshole. I think he's X, Y, and Z. And Ann Taylor wouldn't turn that in. And now Brian's pissed.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot of things we don't know.
I could believe, I could actually see Brian saying, you know, hey, you're not getting what I'm saying. You're not understanding what I'm trying to tell you. This is what I want you to go do. And like you said, she's saying, that's not how this works. So, and he's like, well, you know what? Fuck you then, and do what you're going to do. You're not listening to me anyway.
Well, and you
I
also
see that.
Think about it at this point in time. People are wondering, when is the appeal coming? When is the ineffective counsel coming? Ann Taylor is not going to help Brian file ineffective counsel against her.
Of course not.
Okay, so you got to get an appellate lawyer. You got to get somebody to help you out. The prisons do not make that very easy to do, especially when you're 23-1 and you get out of your cell a handful of times a week. You don't have a lot of law library time. You don't even really get a pen and paper that often. You get a golf pencil and a half piece of paper. You're not going to write much on that. You know, you got to have people out there. And I'm not saying his family aren't helping or aren't willing to help, but you have to have direct contact to people that can help you file these motions if you don't have the law team to do it for you. So he might just be sitting there scratching his head saying, I can't get anybody to help me right now. I don't know what the hell I'm supposed to do. I'm sitting in 23-1 lockdown with the worst of the worst. They're cussing at me every single day. Everybody wants to fight. I don't want to come out of my cell to even shower, yet I'm supposed to find a way to file an appeal. Guys, I've been there. I get it. I went to the CDU unit for fighting so many times just to get off the block. Like, get me out of this cell block. I'll go to CDU lockdown. Get me out of here. Let me sit in boxers for the next 6 weeks. I don't care. Get me out of here. Brian Kohlberger could potentially be doing the same thing.
Yeah.
You know, he went to CDU just a couple of weeks ago for cussing at an officer. People don't know that because it always says your housing unit is J block because they don't mark it on there that you're in CDU unit. CDU is disciplinary. You only go there for a short period of time and then you come back to your cell. So he leaves for a couple of days, comes back. Nobody knows. You know,
I
mean, and Kohlberger could have been, you know, there's a million things we can talk about. Kohlberger could have been completely looking forward to being exonerated in this case in the first year. And then after it was stretched into year 2 and then year 3, he's exhausted. He's like, fuck it. Everything we do is getting shut down. I give up, mentally checked out. I'm done. You're going to fuck me anyways. Give me the, you know, and so he could have just checked out a long time ago. And that could be another reason why it was getting hard to work with them.
There's no way Brian Kohlberger was not mentally, emotionally, physically exhausted, worn out, overwhelmed, buried in everything going on, worried about his family. This is normal every day for people that go to jail and prison. So anybody that tells you they didn't have those scenarios and feelings in their life are full of shit. They're full of shit. I don't care how big of a jerk you are in life. You have every one of those emotions. And now you have to say you did it for 3 years. 3 years. That man sat in a jail cell. Look, I done it, and I'll never do it again. It broke me. It literally broke me. And there's no doubt in my mind, and this is one thing, I don't know if Brian Koberger is innocent or guilty. I can't tell you. I don't know. Whatever it might be, but I can tell you, I know what he went through in jail. Not specifically how he accepted or handled it, but I tell you, he's broken. I'm telling you, he's broken.
Sure. I would imagine so. Regardless of
I
whether
don't
he's
know who
guilty or
that
not.
is. They're asking me about Central. I don't know who that is.
Yeah, they're a group like the Innocence Project. They were part of the book Framed with John Grisham. They had a big part of that, talking about convictions that they help overturn and stuff like that. It's a lot like
with the plea agreement. The only way Brian Koberger is going to really get the help he needs is buku dollars. He won't get anything pro bono. He just won't. I've reached out to a lot of people just because I want to feel my own self. I just want to know something I'm talking about, make sure I feel confident in what I'm saying is. And everything I've gotten back is he better have buku dollars. Yeah. There's no pro bono, nothing coming in on this. That plea agreement squashed it.
And he doesn't have the appeal of Luigi Mangione is going to get $1 million in donations. Most people in America and the world believe he's guilty as hell, so he's not going to generate a lot of sympathy.
I don't know about that. I feel Brian could garner some donations. I got this feeling. He could.
I think if it was put out there, then maybe,
right. If somebody actually put something out there, yeah.
Yeah, but you can't though. Let's say you and I decide to do a fundraiser. We do a GoFundMe. Yeah. We've got to state what that's utilized for. And I don't believe in your guys' integrity, the way you guys handle yourselves. You're going to lie about what that money would be utilized for. And I've learned my lessons through my past that I will never do it. I'm never going to claim that I'm raising money for one thing and then go utilize it for something else. I'm going to tell you what I'm raising money for. And if it was for Brian Koberger, I have to state that. Now it's no longer able to be used.
And there's platforms. I can't remember what the last one was. There are platforms that will not allow you to raise money for the defense of a criminal.
Absolutely.
If you've been in charge with a crime, you're not allowed to raise money for a criminal because they don't believe in the system that somebody wrongfully convicted. You're not allowed to raise money for a criminal.
YouTube docked me and they demonetized me for a couple of weeks because I was speaking in regards to Brian Koberger and raising money on how you can put money on his books and how you can order him books. And I put up a post. I had to immediately take it down. They punished me for that.
Wow.
Somebody in my community tried to start a GoFundMe and it was shut down within 24 hours.
That's just ridiculous.
GoFundMe definitely has
you can't do it. I don't know how Luigi Mangione, I mean, they raised a lot of money for that guy, but that might have been directly to his lawyers, maybe.
I can't remember the platform they used, but yeah, that's the thing. His lawyers set up a website and told people where they could donate money, and so they helped him out. Like, is that going to happen in Koberger's case? Is Ann Taylor going to set up a fund for her client? No way. So
she also works. She works for a state. She was a public defender. She couldn't do it.
She probably
could.
She went into private. I thought she left public practice.
She was still hired as a public defender, even though she went private. She was still being paid by the state.
She was still being paid by the state, right?
So she was not allowed to do anything of that nature.
Yeah. All right, here's what I'm going to say for the last parting thing. I said I was going to leave early because I got to get up in the morning. I'm never fucking inviting A.R. Hayes again because that guy fucking made me go extra 2 hours. Fuck that guy. No, just kidding. It was great. It was great talking to you tonight. I really do appreciate you coming on. It was fantastic.
Good conversation.
Yes, yeah.
Yes,
I appreciate you guys.
Definitely.
Yeah. All right. Thank you very much for coming. We're going to say goodnight to everybody so that I can get the things that I got to get done and take a cat off to do the deed that he loves so much. Anyways, it is what it is. Yeah. So any parting thoughts, Robin, Dago, A.R. Hayes, anything you want to say on the way out?
it was a great to have you here with us tonight, AR. And always appreciate your perspective on things. And it was a great conversation all the way around. So thank you very much, and thanks to the chat. We appreciate each and every one of you guys that show up on both our channels each and every night. You're very well loved, and so that's it from me.
Yeah.
Again, I agree fully with Robin. It was a great conversation as always. I was a little nervous at the beginning about what we were gonna get into a talk on, but it looks like you saved the day on that one, AR. So thank you for joining us.
I know. I was thinking we're gonna get done in about an hour. We're gonna be done, and then bam.
No faith. I can always talk.
Yeah, we always have something to talk about. But it was a good conversation. It's been good talking to you. It's been a while. Grateful to have you up here tonight, as always. Hopefully we'll do it again soon. And thank you to all the mods and all the amazing and beautiful people out there. Of course, guys, don't ever forget, you guys truly are the beautiful people. Make sure you love yourselves and love each other and take care of yourselves. And it was a great show. Thanks for having me here again tonight.
Just real quick, I got a lot of love and respect for you guys. Lee, you've exploded onto the scene since the last time I was able to mingle with you. It's great to see. I always love your content. I watch more of your non-Idaho than your Idaho.
Oh, that's cool. That's funny.
But definitely love to shake hands with you, Robin. You're always a sweetheart. I always adore you, and I'm very appreciative. And Dago, you and I have been actually friends for a very long time. I know. We may have some differences of opinion. Some things got out of hand or said, but I've got love and respect for you, your community, and I'm just plugging away, guys. I don't do this very often anymore.
Absolutely, sir.
I don't even make content very much anymore, but I appreciate you guys and respect you highly. So thank you for letting me join you guys for the night.
Yeah, you bet. Thank you as well. And next time I get up to Vegas, I'll try to plan better ahead of time. Maybe we can meet in person. And
if you're flying in, you've always got a car to drive while you're here. I'll get you a room to stay in, no cost out. I can even feed you while you're here. Around, we'll have a good time.
I'll be there tomorrow.
Going to Vegas.
The offer's there for all of you. All you gotta do is reach out to me. My wife, beautiful gal that she is, has some great connections out here, and we'll definitely share that wealth with you guys. So,
like a plan.
Yeah, no, just let me know. But you guys are amazing. I thank you so much. I'm gonna let you guys end your show, but thank you to the crowd and yourselves.
All right, yeah.
Have a great night.
Thank you all for coming. We'll see you again tomorrow night at the same time, 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 8 p.m. Eastern on Crimes After Dark. Take it easy, everyone. Bye-bye.
Have a great night.
Good night.